All right. What are we working on here today? Got a few things going on. Let me see if I can't get them all pulled up. All right. No, we're not gonna do more networking. Zorgal, how's it going? Xshenya, how's it going? No, we're I do have that networking stuff all recorded if people want it, but I wasn't gonna go back to that today. Today I got a lot of stuff to work on, so I figured I'd just kind of hang out, and anybody wanting to hang out and work on stuff with me, we could. I got to clean up some of these labs. I got to build some stuff. I got to see. I'm not sure why this rotator doesn't work unless you're focused on it. That's like a new problem for this thing. See, once you're focused on this, it'll automatically rotate through the pages, but otherwise it won't. All right, so what was I working on today? So the other day I put together the Docker builds and the Docker environment labs, and I kind of have them organized, but now I got to get them going and tested. So yeah, I'm gonna just kind of build this stuff out a little bit and see what we go with. Real quick, I need to check one thing real quick. It looks like I've got, maybe the easiest place to put this is over here. Yeah, put that over there, and then I'll move this up just a little bit. There. You guys should be able to see your messages on there as well. Boom. There you go. Okay. Yeah, let's get back to kind of what I was working on, which is, again, I'm not working super hard today. So if anybody's got questions about Linux or wants to know kind of what we do around here, I will talk you through it or let you guys know what's going on. But otherwise, I'm just kind of hanging out and working on other stuff. How's it going, Voids? We are a little community of Linux engineers and Linux administrators and Linux everybody's. I need to build out. So what I'm doing in Killer Code over here is we've got a bunch of labs. And my particular labs, which are all free. Everything on Killer Code is free. But these automation labs, I want to get 6 and 7 up. 6 and 7 up today, because I have 5 done, I have 8 done, and then I need to record 6, 7, and 8 for that. I'm probably not going to get those recorded today, though, just so you guys know. But let's get this basic. And that says Docker. I really should call this container. I really should call this container environments. I don't know why I called this Docker. Let's call this container. I don't know why I called it Docker. Whoops. Because it's containers. So we're not specific to Docker. Docker's a very specific instance of a thing, right? Let's go with container. But now, since I've changed those, I need to go and fix the structure, so this will be container. And that'll be container. There we go. Control S, save it, get it out of the way, get it all there. Xsheny said, I don't want ISP to see the DNS on my home lab. Any suggestions? So I have DNS provided by another router I monitor. Yeah, Xsheny, you can block 53 from leaving your system if you wanted. But I mean, I would tell you probably so DNS is always based on queries, right? So if you don't want them to see the DNS, you have to stop them from being able to query you, if that kind of makes sense. So you could block 53 inbound and they wouldn't see anything as far as, because like if you think of it, like seeing in that sense is the fact that it's a query, right? They are querying your system, and if you don't allow the port 53 for TCP or UDP in, you can block it. Yeah, you should be able to stop them from coming in pretty easily. Like, there's nothing advertised with DNS from our side of anything, right? Like, there's no advertising in that sense. There's probably some protocol for DNS to advertise out in the web, but not in normal usage for, systems type stuff. So, yeah, so you're probably fine if you just do that. All right. Let's say container. Now, these are Docker, so I can say Docker here, I guess. But then, this is Docker in here, but it's really still container builds because there is one that we're gonna do. Maybe we'll make a fourth step, and the fourth step will be apptainer. I guess it could really be step. Let's say container images here. There we go. Download and update container images, because we'll do one with Docker, and then we'll also do one with apptainer as well. So apptainer is a tool from CIQ, same guys who do Werewolf, same guys that do Rocky Linux, and it allows us to do some stuff. In fact, let's make sure our lab for that looks good, because I have that lab here. This was kind of us like messing around with it and installing it, and then we had this error, and we wanted to work through what the error was, and we actually then fixed the error and rebuilt this. So this was my notes from the other day when we did this kind of live. So let's just go into like one of the automation labs. If anybody wants to do this with me, here is the lab. You just pop in the lab. It's free. I'll drop it on both sides for you guys. Anybody that wants to do it can just hop in there with me. Excuse me. Yeah, we've had like a weather change in Phoenix. It's like really cold outside. Well, cold for us is, 60s, maybe even high 50s. So it's pretty cold for us, and it's raining. So compare that with yesterday, where it was, or earlier this week, where it was 80 degrees outside. So it's not connected right now. Let's see what's going on here. Proxmox, not logged in. That's fine. Data center, Proxmox. There we go. See stuff about our little Proxmox server. It's good. Good enough for what we need right now. Okay, so let's get over here and let's make sure that we can get into our environment. We don't need any of the actual lab for right now because we're just messing around with this other thing and doing a little apptainer. Evo said, did I get anything for Black Friday? No, but you know what I did do that was kind of fun? This was, some of you guys might like this. In fact, I put it in Sandbox channel, so I'll pull it up right here. So my wife's birthday's on the 26th, so 1, 2, 3 days from now. But I get her stuff all of November. That's kind of like one of my little things, is I just get her stuff. And one of the things that I did here for her was I got her one of these little things. Now, it doesn't look great here because the sand isn't mixed yet. But once the sand got mixed, it just uses this little ball. Some of you guys have probably seen these things. It just uses this little ball to draw on the sand. And this is it kind of driving around real slow before it mixed in really good. Yeah, actually, so I told the wife, I was like, I should get one of these and just put Ranger Cam on it since we don't have Ranger anymore. But it just runs around and drives and builds these stupid little patterns that are kind of fun. This one was turning into something, but typically by the end of it you can see what it is. But yeah, it looked pretty bad at first when you just pour the sand over the other sand, but once it got mixed in, it ended up being pretty cool looking. It doesn't use AI, but that would be actually fun. But it does download patterns from the web, so she can control it with her phone. And then she has it set like it'll wait like 10 minutes after it finishes a picture, and then it'll go and do circles and wipe it, and then it'll go again. I actually have more. I could post more real quick. Hold on. I just think it's funny that that's in the Sandbox channel, Give me 1 second. I'll post this real quick for people that are interested in that, because I do have more pictures and video of it. So let me see. This was a couple other ones right here. Hold on, I should be posting right now through off my phone. So this was one that, as it was drawing the other day, and then now This was it actually doing like a little star pattern or something, whatever it was drawn. And then this was it. She's moved it. This was when it was just sitting on the counter. Now she's moved it over to like a little bit more of a permanent space. But it's pretty fun. It connects up to the internet, and then you control it over an internet connection as well. Yeah, Evo on site. I think they'll probably get I'm sure they're going to get an AI version. But I was thinking about it, like the control to just have a little magnet go under that board is trivial compared to like people that do 3D printing and stuff. 3D printing is way more advanced control arms and that kind of stuff than just some little magnet underneath the table that just drags around, right? Like that's a simple 2D model, right? As opposed to people doing massively, deep 3D model type stuff, right? So anyways, where I'm going with that is like people, the printing and the ability to drive that kind of stuff is way more advanced than any of those simple, because it's just a table with a magnet on it, right? Or a magnet underneath drawing a little steel ball around. And I told her the funny thing is it's we should just call it the Sisyphus table. So if you guys know who Sisyphus is, he was the character from mythology who he's bound to just push a rock up a hill forever, and when he finally gets the rock to the top of the hill, it falls back down again, and he has to go back and push the rock up, right? That's what he does, is he pushes the rock for all eternity. And then there's the very famous Albert Camus wrote this The Myth of Sisyphus, which is an essay on the fact that Sisyphus is actually quite happy because he, unlike most people, actually knows his purpose. He knows what he's going to do forever, whereas most people never find their purpose, therefore they're unhappy. So that's his myth of Sisyphus, is that it's actually punishment when he's saying it's more of a completion of his purpose as a person. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's get in here. I'm going to turn off the rotator because we don't need the rotation right now going through all the stuff. And we're going to just do add apt repository -y ppa and then apptainer ppa. So we're adding a repository if it's there, which it is. We know it is. And it'll install that. And then we'll do an apt update, which will pull all the metadata for all the known repositories within the system, right? So we're going to run that real quick. Move this up a little bit too. Also, my window is open right here, and I'm hearing an ambulance drive by. I don't know if you guys hear that, which is weird because I'm kind of out in the suburbs. I don't get a whole lot of ambulances driving by on, what is it, Sunday morning? So, all right, let's drop this over here. Whoops, paste, apt update. So now it's going to go and it's going to pull any metadata information that it needs from those. And then we're going to install apptainer and apptainer suid. So now I had done these originally as I was figuring this out when I first wrote these. So we'll do this as one command and we'll collapse the commands. We don't need to do multiple commands. Like we're not doing multiple commands just for the sake of doing multiple commands. Like I'm not trying to inflate the time that the lab takes to do or anything like that. I don't get paid by the minute for people to do free labs, right? Nothing like that going on. And again, the labs on Killer Coda, guys, they're free. People that have never been out there, I tell people all the time, I think this is the best free thing on the web for learning how to do systems and engineering type work. I really do. Because you could just go out there and, you pull down your Git in there. Build stuff in a virtualized environment just for fun, just to see if you could do it. And then when the environment dies after an hour, you could just make a new one. Like it's pretty okay. All right, so anyway, so this thing is that's taking its time, but we'll let that run, and then when this is done, we'll drop this in, and we're gonna pull this all down. Also, we might change this a little bit to be 2404. Well, let's leave it as 2204 for now because I know that one works, but maybe we'll modify it when we do the lab. So. taking a while to build. Hey, wifey. I'm streaming, but it's quite cold in here. I have the window open.
Oh, nice.
That's funny. Yeah, Ewo. Yeah, the Proxmox. I set it up a month ago, and it keeps asking me for the Pro license as well, and I'm like, no, no, we're not doing anything. We're using the free version, right? We're using the free. And then Ewo, if you missed it the other day, I got my Rocky system to build over the network. So you guys that haven't been in my environment before, let me pull this up real quick. If you haven't been in my environment, this for maybe people that haven't been around, my home lab looks like this, kind of. This is a little bit of a representation of kind of my home lab. And where Proxmox fits into this right here is, or let me say it this way. We have a different network over here, VLAN 1, right? And when you have frame tagging for VLANs, right, which is 802.1q, if we care from like a networking standpoint, we get over here. Oh yeah, Zorgel, it's definitely slower now, man. They've put us on different hardware or something. It's definitely slower. But what I was going to show everybody is, so VLAN tagging over here, Werewolf runs VLAN 1. It takes it over completely. It runs a DHCP in here, right? And DHCP, there can be only one, like the Highlander. Well, when we added in a new physical host, so in my home lab, we made a new physical host, which was like this, right? And then he's, Proxmox. And he exists in my 192.168.11 network, which is my home network, not the 200 network that's tagged as VLAN 1. Well, we brought up a server the other day in here, Rocky 4. And Rocky 4 would then be over in this network, and he would not hear anything from Werewolf and whatever. But we tagged him, so inside of him, so I'm just going to go here. Inside of him, we did VLAN 1 tag, right? So his network is off of this other VLAN, so he pulled and configured himself from Werewolf. The significance of that is this, right? Like you say, well, what's the significance of your Proxmox being able to just boot from Rocky any of those Werewolf nodes? Well, the significance of it is this. I can go to my Linux environment here, and I can go to like my where's Jumpbox 2? Right here. And in this environment, I can just take my deploy test. I just have this non-variabilized. And I could just have this stand up nodes from like an environment file. And each of those nodes can be a different configured node from in here. So wwctl node list, let's say -a Rocky 5. Let's just say I built Rocky 5. And the only thing the node needs to know about itself is that it's on VLAN 1 and this hardware address right here. If it knows those two things about itself, literally those are the only two things it needs to know, it would be able to boot as Rocky 5 right here just from an Ansible playbook instantiating an empty container or an empty virtual machine. The reason that's useful then is then I can just have all the definitions in Werewolf and I can just stand up or destroy nodes whenever I want. Nodes, compute, servers, boxes, whatever. You guys will hear me call them a million different things. But the point is, this one right here, this, for all intents and purposes, when I turned this on, this was an empty virtual machine named Rocky 4. But he pulled himself from the container image over on Werewolf, right? So Werewolf, as you guys know, it kind of runs the environment. He's the foreman. He runs Full Moon Builders, right? That's the name of his company. And he controls the environment that we give him to control, which in this case is VLAN 1. Yeah, Hayes, I like that. Yeah, program to an interface, not an implementation. I would say that's fair. Yeah. And as long as I configure Werewolf to know who he's in charge of, like Werewolf had to know who Rocky 4 was, right? That wasn't magic. That wasn't magic. There was a definition at some point right here of your Rocky 4. But the only things I needed to know as I instantiated the node was that it was VLAN 1 and this was his MAC address. So if I was over here, I know this is going to be kind of small, but if I were to do an IP ADDR, you would see that his MAC address here is Should be BC. Can't really see. Oh, you know, we can jump this out, I think. Can't I move the console out? I don't really do much Proxmox, you guys probably know. Where do I thought there was a way to pop out. Somebody help me out here. Who uses Proxmox? Oh, is it this? No. There's a way to pop out this console bigger. Here, this might be it. Yeah, there you go. And that MAC address in here, yeah, there it is. BC24111B E6A2. So there's the mapping between the two of them. Yeah, there's a console. And if I were to reboot this guy, he would pull his information again over. So Pradeep over on YouTube said, "Hi, sir. Would you say MacBooks with ARM chips are not a great choice for a cybersec student using Linux?" I wouldn't say that they're a bad choice. What I would tell you is this: like, if you've got a MacBook, right, or if you have a Linux box or Windows box, it doesn't really matter what your desktop is as far as getting into systems. If you ask me, you need to have SSH, which I know your Mac does by default. You can you can jump in via SSH anywhere you need. But I would tell you, like, you don't have to install, like, in the olden days, right, to get into Linux, we used to throw you a CD or a DVD, and you would have to build a Linux box to be able to do Linux. Nowadays, we can drop you in so many terminal shells and get you doing so much command line Linux without even ever leaving whatever box you're on, that I would tell you, like, the MacBook part of it is irrelevant. Does that make sense? Like, what I'm saying is that, like, you're not going to have much control over your operating system, obviously, on a Mac. But could you go and practice on all kinds of other servers? Sure. Could you run some type of virtualization, like, you know, on a box in your environment and then just go and do Kali off of that? Sure. Like, and that's Kali, not Cali, right? You can do Kali Linux or Bento Linux or whatever versions of your, you know, high-speed hacker elite stuff that you want to do. So... well, yeah, console. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I could have popped it out there. Yeah, that's my bad. There we go. Yeah, guys, I don't use this much, but I do like that that's much bigger. And then a lot of you guys know the reason I only use console long enough to get to here is because once a console scrolls, you can't copy. Like, I can't copy out of this console. So I try to stay out of consoles as much as possible. I just wanted you guys to see that there. All right, back on task though, right? Because I'm jumping around all over the place. Let's finish this lab build thing up real quick. Let me move this up so I'm not in the way of chat. There, boom. Maybe, yeah, right there's fine. I'm gonna move chat down. I feel like chat needs. Hold on. Need to fix chat a little bit right there. All right. Now it's smaller, but at least you guys can read what you're saying. All right. Let me pull this back up. Let me go back over here. So here's my notes, and I've built that, and I've got that. Let's look at our Aptainer version. Make sure our Aptainer version is what we want. So we're 144, right? Action, you said this is a great time to stream. Yeah, this is Sunday morning for me, so it's pretty good. Plus, I'm just trying to get on here and get focused a little bit. So, yeah, Pradeep. I think that you'll be fine, whatever interface you start at. Like, because if you really want to learn the Linux side of things, I think you can do that from any desktop. Because at the end of the day, the vehicle you use, you know, I'm a big proponent of the vehicle I use to get into Linux doesn't really matter that much. Once I'm at the command line, I can do whatever I need to. You know, once I'm in here, I can do whatever I want. So let's make an image def real quick. And we're going to try something on this one. We're going to see if we can do this with 2404. So let's grab this. And we're going to try 2404. Because that should work. And we're going to build this. So we're going to use Aptainer to build this image. Aptainer is a very specific tool. So we're going to go build this image real quick. And let's see if it works with the 2404. I think it should. Yep. I found an OCI image, so it's pulling it down. And it's going to update because we told it to update. It's going to install like the stupidest tool ever called calsay. If you guys have never seen calsay, it just makes your command line really annoying. And then we're going to run the apptainer image. But this might break, and actually it's a specific reason why it's going to break, and then we can go fix it if we want to. And I'll show you how we fix it with a rebuild real quick. Text that cannot be copy and pasted elsewhere. Yeah, it's not super useful, right? If we can't copy and paste it, that's true. It's 100% true. Okay. So it's going to build this file. We're going to try to run it, and this is probably going to error all over the screen, but there's a reason it's going to error all over the screen. So watch, it's going to run, and it's going to go calsay not found. Okay. There's a reason this broke. And we could install calsay on this system to see it if we wanted to. I'll show you real quick. App-y install calsay. And let's just install it real quick, and I'll show you the problem with what happened here. And this is a high level, just kind of, if I were to type calsay, like -- version, it'll break. And it'll say calsay is down in user games calsay, but if I echo $path, it's not in my path. So that's what's happened over here in our script. So when we went to run this, this actually needs user games calsay. And then this would work. So let's rebuild that real quick. Let's look in here. And, oh, well, there's another way. I mean, I guess if you set the path. But I'm not going to run the path. Let's build that image again. We'll say, yes, we want to overwrite it. And then now it's going to see calsay. Yeah, if you guys have never seen calsay, it's like the most annoying thing ever. And people build it, and it's automatically used by Ansible. That's the only reason I know what that tool is. As a Linux admin for 22 years, I would throw that tool away the second it showed up. But it is funny enough to show you guys. So I think it's great for lab environments because it draws people to what's happening. And basically just your standard out, instead of coming to standard output, you're going to see here in a second, is going to be said by a cow. It's going to be a thought bubble or like a little talk bubble above a cow. That's it. So it's like a little ASCII art cow that it draws on the screen. So the reason that's it's useful to see, like in this case, like pathing is an issue and understanding how things run is an issue. So now watch, we're going to run this again. And now it's going to work. So now, because user games calsay was there, instead of just the command calsay, like this, it worked. So, yeah, I think it's useful for... calsay has saved your life more than once. It's useful for seeing how things work, right? Like, if somebody didn't understand... Like, if I said, hey... This is like if I did this, right? I'm gonna say pass cat pass WD, and everybody will go Etsy pass WD, right? And I said, okay, this is going to read a file, and you say, okay, cat reads a file. It concatenates a file, but there's nothing to concatenate to, so it just print. We use cat to print out to the screen, right? So cat the file. And if I said, hey, we catch the standard output, and then we go to like head, and it'll only read the first 10 lines. And then you go, I don't understand what that means. And I go, okay, well, what if we said it's going to go to just like one line, right? So we'll just read one line. And you say, no, I still don't understand what I say. And then I say, no, but what if I said user, what was it, user games calsay? And I say, now it's going to come out to the screen, but the cow is going to catch it and say it itself. And you go, oh, maybe, and I don't know, maybe that just makes it make sense for somebody. Maybe somebody would have a problem with it, and then like once they see it like that, they go, oh, I get it. It's standard output is coming to the screen, but the pipe is causing that standard output to be redirected back into the next. It's almost like we have, it's literally pipes. It's a pipeline of commands. This one was going to come to the screen with all of the lines, like 40 something lines, and it was going to be too much. So we piped it to head, and that chopped off only the first line and was going to show us just this first line. But instead of it coming out to standard out, it got caught and pushed back into the standard input of user games calsay, and then calsay popped it out to the screen. So from that perspective, I could see calsay being kind of useful. Also, I think you can make the cow be different. I think there's like a -D for like he could be a devil. Oh, he's a dead cow. I didn't realize he was gonna be fucking dead. Wifey, it's an ASCII art cow, and he has X's for his eyes.
Oh, jeez.
So stupid. Guys, it's literally so stupid. But, I mean, like, let's say you had never seen this before, and, like, this is the first time you've ever been at the command line, and you saw that, and, like, you did a little lab on that, and you're like, oh, okay, I get what a pipe does. I'll never forget in my whole career what a pipe lit. You said Caesar's like, I think the calce is pretty lame, but this is kind of funny. It's kind of funny that, like, you could maybe get away with doing that. So, I'm going to clip that, because I think that's funny. I'm trying to get more clips, guys. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but like Twitch has really been pushing clips. Like if people push the button and clip, and then I think there's like some, if they're most popular or something like that. You can also use a dead cow for a kernel panic error. That's actually pretty funny. All right, we're gonna turn this thing around, and we're gonna like calce. I can tell you calce has different versions too. So if you just come over here, you can, whoops, you can man calce. And then you can see all the different ways that it can be, that it can come out to the screen. Does it not have it right here? Yeah, but by the way, your Ansible config file will automatically use calce if it's in the system. You can turn that off in Ansible in the config file. So okay, so that lab that works right here, right? But we wanted to change the 22 to 2404 for fun, and then I'm gonna leave that broken, but also show how to fix it here in a second. So really, then all we need to do is go in here and we'll do the basic container stuff. Then we'll pull down Packer and we'll modify a container image in some way. And then we can trigger a pipeline. I was going to have us use Kafka for that, maybe. Say Ack is the best grep out there. That's funny. But I just, you know, I get here and I start working on this, and then I just don't want to do it anymore. Twisted, thanks for the resubscription and Prime. You use your Prime anywhere, you use it here, so that's nice. You don't get to have ads for a little while. That's always kind of fun on the Twitch side of things. All right, let me go grab. So we're gonna do these labs. We've got a bunch of extra stuff here. Let's go make sure our intro is right. Welcome to ProLUG Automation. Sure. Setup is gonna install Ansible. We don't really need Ansible, but we do need Packer. So let's see if Packer will install. I don't know if Packer can install. We might need to, there might be a little bit of HashiCorp stuff that we have to put on there. So let's go see if there's something that needs to be installed. Yeah, we might need all this stuff. So let's take this. Let's go drop this over into our setup for this. And we don't need Terraform for this one, but we will for other ones. And we don't need Vault for this one, but we do need Packer. There we go. We'll need that for this lab. So we'll leave that in there. Good. Hayes, did you say you're gonna set a trap? That's funny. Xshunya, my plan for Christmas, we tend to have family over. We got Thanksgiving first here, at least on our side of the world. So we're gonna do on next Thursday. So the wife's birthday is Wednesday, and then Thursday is the big family. We're gonna have both her side of the family, all of the nieces and nephews on her side, and all the nieces and nephews on my side of the family here. So we're gonna have a fair amount of people here at my house. I don't know, probably 40-ish people. My family is pretty big on like I like to do ham for Thanksgiving. So like other people are gonna be bringing turkey. Yeah, this one coming up. Yeah, well in a few days. Yeah, it's Thanksgiving. Oh, I probably won't stream. I'll take some pictures of it though, Hayes. I'll take some pictures of the family stuff, the food and stuff. But me and the wife have 3 different hams that we're doing. We've got a regular ham, we've got a honey baked ham, and we've got a brown sugar ham. So like everybody else like will sit around and eat all. By the way, I always have to be the one. They always make me cut the turkey, so I'm the one who carves the turkey up. Ham is pig. Pig, yeah. Ham is tasty. That's by far my favorite of the things to eat for Thanksgiving. Like everybody else loves the, like in my family anyways, everybody else loves the turkey, but I eat a little bit of turkey. I eat a lot of deviled eggs. So if you guys know what deviled eggs are, I eat a whole bunch of those things. And then a whole bunch of ham. But it's funny, I'll go wrestle in the morning, so it'll burn off, I'll probably burn about 800 to 1,000 calories wrestling for an hour. And then I'll come back and do, and I'll come back and eat whatever I want. How many branches of species chart are we going to try? Well, for sure we're going to do chicken, right? Eggs. For sure we're going to do turkey. For Thanksgiving, I don't think I have anything aquatic that I eat. Also, the wife's not a big seafood person, so... Hold on, I gotta text my brother something. All right. Yeah, Hayes, we don't get, like, seafood in Phoenix is not great. There's some seafood in Phoenix probably, but it's not great out here, right? We're not known for it. Zamora over on YouTube. Hi, how's it going? We are just working on labs, and I'm not working super hard on a Sunday, so we're kind of hanging out. Yeah. Hayes, I knew somebody when I was younger who they had a company that would like bring food into the Phoenix. Like they'd had to bring it in on big refrigerated trucks, and yeah, there's not like Phoenix is definitely not known for its like fish delicacy or fish food. I mean, there's some sushi out here, but I definitely would tell you, like, if somebody was like, hey, here, or go drive for 6 hours to Los Angeles and get like good sushi, that's probably where I would tell people to go. Yeah. Well, and like I've fished in Arizona my whole young life, and I've probably caught about 7 fish my whole life. And then I went to Michigan one time at the Great Lakes, and I fished for an hour, and I caught more fish than I did my whole entire young life. So, yeah. Not this morning, Shania. Yeah, Hayes, I'm not a big fan of sushi. Like, everybody else loves it, but I don't go out of my way for it. Like, if people make me go to sushi, I'll go. Like, I'm one of these guys, I won't complain. Like, if somebody wants to go do something, fuck it, I'd rather go do it than hang out and not do it. But if it's sushi, I'll just find some things. There's always a few things I can eat. And I love crab, so, like, I can eat the crap out of crab. And there's all kinds of crab stuff on most sushi. Or tuna. I like tuna. So I can typically do that. Yeah, I don't do a whole lot of sushi for that same reason, Shunya. Like, I don't get sick a lot, but like the times I have been sick in my life was from bad food. So I do have a little more of an aversion to that than most people do. But I'm not a sickly person at all. I very rarely get sick, but when I have been sick, it's always been because of food typically. Like I don't normally get sick in other ways, so. All right. So let's run this real quick. By the way, I want to check this. Let's make sure our setup works. If we're ever going to drop something like this in here, we should make sure that the command set works. So we're going to just copy this and drop this in on this image, right? Because this is where we're going to actually do it. So it'll just do all the pieces. It'll install everything. It'll put it in the key ring. It'll make sure that we have HashiCorp. We should see it right here. There's the HashiCorp Noble Main. Good. That's just names, right, for this stuff. And it's H-A-S-H-I, Hashi. Yeah. All right. Did it get it all? Packer's there. All right, so then we could start doing our Packer stuff in our lab, which I do have a lab over here. So there's HashiCorp Playground. I don't think I have any. Going looking through my other. Yeah, I don't have anything that makes us build. So normally with HashiCorp, or with Packer, I would build like AMI images, but I haven't done that in a while. Hazy said, "Oh, Sid complains about the bad BBQ in Phoenix. I've had some pretty good barbecue in Phoenix. I've had deer meat. I've had elk. Yep. I have a fair amount of friends that like to hunt. I haven't gone out of my way to hunt as an adult, but that might be because once you've hunted the most dangerous game, all other games seems." I'm just kidding. Well, I'm not completely kidding, but enough to know that I'm messing around. Okay, so where am I at here? I'm kind of all over the place, but it's because I don't really want to do anything, so that's why I'm not working very hard right now. HashiCorp Labs. All right, so we need Packer stuff for the Packer part of this, but then we also need Podman stuff. What is that?
Were you shot?
Maybe.
It goes right through your shirt.
I don't know what that is.
Rest in peace.
That's funny. My wife just found a shirt with a bullet hole in it. One of my shirts, in fact. She can't know about my double life. All right. Ops to Dev, how's it going? We're not working super hard right now. We need to. We got to put together like my thoughts on this lab, but every time I start to do it, spear gun hunting great whites, maybe. That sounds too much work. What am I working on right now? Oh, good. Trying back. Haven't had 5 months. Okay, yeah. Well, Ops to Dev, we don't keep track of people around here. You know, like I don't take attendance or anything. You guys are welcome to hang out whenever, but that's funny. All right. What was I working on? Sandbox complaint stuff. Oh yeah, I was complaining about AI slop this morning. I don't know if you guys have been. I don't know how much any of you guys play with LinkedIn, but man, I just don't think that thing is worth anybody's time. Every time I turn around, it's just somebody else telling me. I don't know. I just can't do it. I feel like you post like when you finish the cert or when you finish the studying or you finish the thing. I don't think you post when you're on day 3 of 100 or whatever, you know, like that kind of stuff bugs me. But the fact that everybody's a CEO and it's like, well, who's doing the work then, right? If we're all CEOs, like, what the heck? Yeah. Well, I'm sure it's fun to play with Akshunya. I don't think people should use it as like their basis for, you know, living their lives and doing their engineering. I think it's great for a study buddy. I think it's great to use it like to understand something if you're struggling with like, I don't know, like I said earlier, I was talking about 802.1q VLAN tagging, and you go, all right, hey, help me out with this 802.1q. What is that? Like Scott said it a couple times, and I know that that's a 802 standard, and it has something to do with Ethernet 2 frames, and I know that it's injected into the frame so that, you know, the frame won't leave a switch port if it's not tagged for the same VLAN, like that kind of thing. Maybe I know that, but I want it to be explained to me, and it'll you know, I think AI will do a real good job of explaining it to you, and I think that's a good thing for most people. But yeah, I don't know. Other than that, like I don't, not a big fan. Yeah, they seem to be pretty good for studying for people. My college students seem to like it. Oh, that reminds me, I gotta do some posts for my college. I gotta go let my college students know I'm still alive. Give me a second here, guys. I gotta Gotta do a post real quick. So I try to go like, so I found years ago in my college that there's like some metrics for how they like look at teachers, and one of the metrics was just how often they post. So I make sure I post every single day in my college classes. Just because I'm one of these guys, I'm a metrics guy, right? Like if people tell me that's the way I'm going to be measured, I want to know. Um, yeah. So I'm gonna talk about something with them like this. Have you guys ever seen? Has anybody here ever seen the diamond model for intrusion analysis? Has anybody here ever seen this? It's called the diamond model for intrusion analysis, and this should be the PDF right here. This is a summary of it. No, we want the actual PDF, which is active response. Yeah, this is it right here. This is just explaining it. Does anybody have the actual? Nope. I want to find the actual. See if we find the original. What's that? That's still just the write-up. This is the original diamond model, right? Non-summary. What is the diamond model of attack? So I need to write this up for a response for my students. But if any of you guys want it for a second, here you go. This is a way to look at how attacks occur, and specifically adversary versus victim and infrastructure versus capability. The adversary versus victim right here, this is often called the socio-political axis, and the infrastructure versus capability is often called the technology axis, right? And this is a way to look at the effects and explain how attacks occur in an environment, right? Especially persistent type attacks. So I gotta write up a post real quick to my students. Give me 1 second here real quick, because my students... How does So I'm going to say, how does understanding how attacks occur help inform your ability to defend? And then I'm going to say, and how does understanding attack techniques help one stop? So I am showing them that PDF, and I'm going to show them one other thing too. So sorry, I'm doing college stuff on my other screen while I talk to you guys. The other one is attack.miter. If you guys haven't seen attack.miter, this is the standard for how attacks occur, right? And this is really one that I think you guys need to know. So attack.miter, really good for you guys that want to get into that type of stuff. Now my other class, by the way, so I just responded in one of my classes. My other class, we're talking about dynamic routing protocols, open shortest path first, and first hop redundancy protocol. So understanding how those work. What are, as you think about this week, what are the major differences between link state and distance vector routing protocols? So this is like because Sunday is the beginning of the week at the college, so I'm kind of I'm asking my students questions. So does anybody know the difference between distance vector and link state routing? Does anybody know the difference between the two? Here's a nice little write-up, I'm sure. Distance vector is always based on hop count. That's the primary metric. Metrics are how we decide things, right? Examples are RIP and newer versions of RIP. And then link state routing is going to know the full complete map of the network. Now, when I started networking 25 years ago, distance vector was preferred because we didn't have the memory in the devices to keep track. And link state routing was harder to do. Nowadays, link state routing is much, much more preferred. In fact, almost universally, we're programming link state routing, open shortest path first. So, anyways, something to play with. Those are all just side note stuff because I just wanted to talk to my college students for a second. So, all right, I got those in, so now I don't have to go back to my. I'm one of these guys. Like I had a project manager early on in my career say, touch every project every day, and that's kind of a nice way to do things. Like touch that you always know, like where projects are or what you're working on. Touch it every day. See if you have anything waiting for you. See if you have to push anything back out to like a vendor or something. Because some of you guys that know, if you've ever worked with a vendor or vendors, if they ask you a question, the time for the ticket for them stops. So you need to you need to make sure that you don't leave stuff in your queue for 3 days, because then when you come back to it and you're like, oh shoot, these guys weren't even looking at this, and that's a problem, right? Like that's always a problem if you're trying to do, you know, something else. If you're trying to do whatever. All right. So we're done with that. Got all that stuff done. Let's think about how we want to build. So I have some container stuff. I have some things in my other labs. So down in like my Kubernetes labs, I have like my 3-tier app, right? And in the 3-tier app, I have some Docker files. And the Docker files will pull down, in this case, version Python 3.9 Alpine. That's interesting. What the heck is that? Is that trying to tell me? Anyways, I don't know. Like I feel like that's like not supposed to be there. Like the AI added that or something. Hold on. That's super weird. But anyways, and then my requirements file in this case is a file that I had pulled when I originally built this. So requirements should be down here somewhere. And these are the things that are going to be added in when this Docker file, pulls down, copies over the requirements, moves into the working directory, runs the pip install of all those requirements, and then copies in an app from somewhere, some app that I wrote. In this case, was everything in my app directory was likely either the read.py or the view.py, right? Where's this at? Down here on index, right? Because I put these in whatever directories that they belong in. One is a Flask Docker that I was building, and the other one was Flask Read Docker. So I had 2 different Docker apps that were doing whatever they were going to do, right? And then there's also some HTML that was in each of them. Here's my index.html, like if I was just going to have a Flask app containerized with Docker. So we can push all that. We can make this part of this other lab if we want to pull these files in and then put them down in same directory like that. That would be fine. Here's a different Docker file that does something similar but does the read app. So we'd probably just want this base app for my normal file. That would be fine. We pull that stuff over. I think that would be fine for doing this lab. I'm just being lazy, guys. I just don't want to do it. That's always my problem. All right. Let's grab Docker index requirements, Docker file index requirements, and is this the default view? Yeah, this is the view. So, whoops, we don't want read. We want not read. We want view requirements index. Oh, let me look at this. Yeah. Okay, so this requirements and view. Yeah, I think those are all the ones I'm gonna need. Akshunya, you're over on the YouTube side. Yep. I appreciate you hanging out either way. Yeah, we're not working too hard. We're just kind of grabbing stuff out from me doing. This is from a different actual lab that I have on this. The other thing I might want to do from here is we could grab, there's something else that we might want to grab from here, but let's copy this for now and go throw this in these other assets up here. So in the container builds, we are going to paste all of those, right? So Docker file, index, requirements, and that. And then we're going to come back over here real quick, and in the 3-tier app, in the setup, in the intro. Setup is this other part where we want to have this. We're going to need that setup part too. There we go. Control S to save it. Get out of there. And we need to get this set up down here, this intro index. Here we go. And we need to make sure that we have all of those read. So all of those lines. So for Docker file is going to go, we'll call this one Docker. So just grab this index and we'll just throw it right here for now. And we're just going to call it Docker. Yep. Not Flask Docker, just Docker. And then we'll go grab this one. So we're just stealing from my other labs. I probably should have put these all next to each other. So here's my index. If I had been smart, I probably would have put these all next to each other. This will now just be Docker, not Flask Docker, because while it is flat, well, we could leave now. Or just do Docker. Come back to this other one. We need the other ones too. We need the requirements text, which will just be in Docker as well now. And then we need, where's the other one? Just view.py, which is like the simplest little view application inside of Flask that you could have made. And we'll just drop it right here in Docker. All right, so all those are going to be in root Docker now in this system. And we can go check real quick just for fun. Control S to save it. All four of these, so Docker file, index, requirements, and view should be here. Docker file, index, view, and requirements. So there they all are. So those are all the things that we need for that to kind of build. All right, so then the Docker part of that will be pretty easy to do, because then it'll just be cd into the Docker directory and basically build it. And then you can just run it as a local Docker image or as a Docker container. You just watch it run. We could also push it up and tag it into the registry if we want to. That's the other thing that I have, is now I have a registry running. The nice thing about a registry is then you can pull in from, or you can use that to pull in Kubernetes. You can pull different images down. Also, I'm sitting here shivering and I'm wondering why it's so cold. It's because I have my window open. It's only 60 degrees out. So, Phoenix isn't normally cold, guys, if you're wondering. So, all right. I'm going to take a quick break. This is going to die. This lab's going to end here in a second. But let's go Hourglass. We'll work on, say, this up here real quick. Take a break. Do 8 minutes of break. And then we'll back out of this one because there's nothing in there right now anyways, and then we'll come back and we'll start working on 6. So all right, I'll be back, guys. Let me put this, we'll do 2 things real quick. We're gonna put this on dark reader so it doesn't kill everybody's eyeballs, and we'll put the rotator back on. So it'll rotate through all of our different stuff up here. People that want to kind of keep track on what's going on in the environment. All right. Starting my 8 minutes over. I'll be back. Let me know if you guys need anything. All right, still break time. But now I got a monster. Be back. All right. Still got some break time. I think I should redo this little penguin here, and he should have a monster in his hand when I'm drinking Monster. What do you guys think? Like I have like a little monster image, and then also it's funny. I walk away and I have more people watching me than when I was here. I don't know what that says about my personality, but all right. Let's move this over. Keep working on stuff while we're on break. We're on break, but I'm going to keep working on stuff. Just because maybe I get some stuff done. Okay. So my steps for building this are actually down in here from when I originally have people build out, not that one. I think it's this lab, or this part of the lab, where I have people CD down in the Flask Docker and then do all of these things and build the application. And then I have them push it up, and then they can cat the file, and then they create that on. We can create that in Kubernetes. And actually, I can just use I could use this Flask Docker test app and just push it that way, but I think what I'm going to do instead is we're just going to Docker run it. So we'll probably just take these. Oops. Move to the right directory. All right, grab all that. Come up here in our text. We're going to say this lab is part of a larger thing. That's all true. Your development teams have decided to deploy to build their own container images. You have decided to work on Docker and or different container image tools to practice modifying containers that are publicly available. Your goal is to modify them with your own requirements list of additional software and also your custom application code. So run use Docker to build a ready container. Use apptainer to build a ready container. There we go. What's the one for? Don't know what the one was for. All right, there we go. First time student, you're a CS student. I don't think that, yeah, I that's fair to call me a CS student. It's also fair. I am a student of the game of computer science, yes. It might also be accurate to say that I'm a college professor for 17 years in the networking, security, and computer science space too. But yes, I do also consider myself a student of the game, yes. Yep. I think that's very accurate. All right, let's drop this here. And then let's pull all this off. Get rid of all that. And we're going to say, build an image for your environment. Boom. It's fine. Yeah, I don't care. I was just messing with you. Let's just move to, we'll go to the Docker directory in every case. So we got to take Flask off because, well, okay, so it is Flask, but I stripped it off because that's not germane to like this part of the discussion. We're using an old lab to build a new version of this. So build image. We're going to just call it, we can still call it Flask Docker, and I think that's still accurate. Okay. So if we've done this first part, the last thing to do in this environment would probably be to, as a verification, we would probably just do we would probably just do Docker images grep for, and we don't need the my Docker image, but it would be a Flask app. Is that what I called it? I forget. Flask underscore Docker, because it's just a Docker example. That's fine. We can leave all that on there. So this has to exit with a 0 for us to pass forward in the lab. So let's say that we just did this part of the lab. Whoops. And we, come on. We just wanted to do this part of the lab, and then we wanted to see this work. We could Control S, we could save it. But anyway, so for people that come in a little later, I am building labs out today. I'm building labs in a tool called Killer Coda, which are free labs for anybody that wants to do Linux or system stuff. If you want to do any of my lab scenarios, right, here are the labs. So, but to answer the question, yeah, I'm basically just messing around today doing labs, right? We are down in the automation labs, which come from a bigger free course that we have on automation, which looks like this. This is the automation, and we're specifically working on weeks 6 and 7 right now, which we're in unit 8 or week 8 in the course down in our Discord, right? We run these free, but we are doing automation and Docker builds and automation of the Docker environment. So building that out. So right now I'm doing the build part. So in case anybody came in and was like, what the hell's he doing? He's over here in VS Code doing all this markdown and stuff. We're building the labs. If you guys have never seen a Killer Coda lab, they're super easy to build. You just have to go in here. You build a little index.json, right? And this is just some simple JSON. It's actually probably easier than it looks. I'm going to call this container builds. Yeah. Automate container builds using various techniques. That's fair. I think that's probably the most accurate way to put what we're doing here. So now if we want to see this one run, because these haven't been pushed yet, the 6 and 7 haven't been pushed, but I'm going to add one thing to the top of 7 and say this lab is under construction. I just want to put that in there in case anybody does the lab and then sends me an email and goes, wait a minute, that lab's not working. Say, yes, I know. I realize it's not working. All right. That's done. That's done. All right. Let's see if let's push it. So added labs 6 and 7, working on 6, step 1, right? You don't have to be that verbose in your commits. It's really up to you, especially if you're the only one. I'm essentially the only one that works on this repo. Although this is an open repo, I've probably had about, I don't know, 12 or 13 pull requests over the years to this one helping me out. Mostly people just fixing stuff. Actually, I could tell you exactly how many. Right? How many pull requests have we had for ProLUG labs? Oh, 37 apparently. Well, maybe I was way off. Do I think that Linux is for everyone? I do. So my background is I've been a kind of like a Linux and high performance compute guy for the last, I've been Linux for about 22 and I've been high performance compute for probably the last 16. And so to answer the question, I do think it's for everyone in the sense that if you want to be a engineer or admin in this space, yes. Do I think everybody should or could run this as a desktop? No, I absolutely don't. Here's the thing, right? Like I tell people this all the time. A desktop has to be like usable to the average person. It has to be what we call lowest common denominator. And I don't think Linux is ever trying to be that, and I don't think it should be, because it specializes for certain things. Like, do I think Linux is the best tool in almost all instances for like storage? Yes. Do I think it's almost always the best tool for like networking and routing and that kind of stuff? Yes. In fact, all the underlying stuff underneath most of that is all Linux anyways, right? But like for a desktop, I don't know, man. Like you'd be hard pressed to find a company that's got very many people that runs Linux as their main desktop, you know. And you say, well, what about Red Hat? I've known many Red Hatters. I've worked with Red Hat for many years, and some of them run Fedora, but not any of them run a standardized, and you would think Red Hat would be the one place, but nope. So, yeah, I think I probably would say more Mac OS users than Linux as far as desktop for sure. But if we're talking like back end engineering of systems, I do think Linux is the standard, right? Like I do think that it's a good one to know. I think you can have a very good, rewarding career that's very valuable. I tell guys all the time because I technically here represent the professional Linux users group, and the goal is to get people into doing Linux. But it's like even people that don't want to do just straight Linux all day, it's still the basis for SRE and DevOps and all kinds of programming and everything. So like I still think that Linux is the vehicle to do all of those other things. So that being said, I am a full-on Kool-Aid drinker of Linux, right? So let's stop this, stop rotation. And let's go look at, this thing should be popping up here now that we've pushed it. Let's go look at this first lab and see if it works, or see if we have the directories and stuff that we expect. So here's 6. We need to change. This is called container build, so that's good. Welcome to ProLUG automation. All right, so we're going to have to fix some things. This lab is designed as part of a larger instruction set that is free from the professional Linux users group. Yes, the lab book for the course can be found here. Good. Your development teams have decided to build their own container images. You have decided to work on different container image tools to practice modifying containers that are publicly available. Yep. So, or modify containers from those that are publicly available. Sure. Your goal is to modify them with your own requirements lists of additional software and your own custom application code. So use Docker to do that. All right, let's see if we can do this here. Make that a little bigger so you guys can see it. This is building a bunch of stuff in the background. We do want to see that work, so that's good. That looks like that worked. And we're going to cd to root Docker. Okay. We're going to cat the root Docker file. We see that has the things that we think it needs. We're going to cat the root Docker view that's there. We're going to look at the templates and the index. Good. And we're going to build this file out. So does it build? Oh, we still call it Flask Docker. That's fine. It's going to build all that. It's going to install all of those things. They'll give us one error. There's like a little warning, but that's fine. Okay. And then we push it everywhere. And I need to look real quick on my app. Catview.py. What port were we open on? 6000, right? So then I just need to do a Docker run. So I can do Docker images. Here's that Flask Docker right here. And here's the one pushed up to the local host, right? And I should be able to say something like this. So Docker run -p, and then we'll say like 6000, right? And then we should be able to do the image name, which is Flask Docker. Let's see if that works. So that says something's running on 6000, right? And if I didn't do a -d to make it into a daemon, I can stop it if I wanted. And I can do -D. I'll background it. Whoops, is that not right anymore? The lowercase d? Okay. Anyway, so Docker ps, right, to see it running. So there's that Python view. And then if I curl 127.0.0.1 on port 6000, I should see there's my Flask containerized app right there. Action, you say, what's your most controversial Unix command? Oh my gosh. Probably man touch. I mean, that would be kind of not controversial nowadays, I guess. Okay, so we need a -d. So Docker run that Flask Docker. So come back here, and now we're just going to finish up this part of the lab where we say build that all out, right? and then I say something like run your Docker image and test that you are able to see your application, right? I don't know, whatever. And then it's plain, and then and we would do Docker run that, and then verify we're seeing the and this is curl 127.0.0.1 on port 6000. Okay, now we're not having this anymore. Your team also wants to explore building with a tool called Apptainer. You want to see a simple Apptainer image run, so you decide to build one out. Let's make sure a couple things in our setup. We got Packer in here now, but now we need to get Apptainer. So we've got our notes from earlier. So we tested all these notes, so we're going to just go with the go with the notes as we have them. Right? We don't mess with the notes. Whoops. Don't mess with the notes that we don't know. We mess with the notes that we do know. So pull it down a little bit so you guys can see it. Good. Boom. Yeah, we won't bother with the setup on this one. We'll leave it like it is. You decided to build one out. So add the repository for Apptainer, and we're gonna steal one of these so we don't have to keep writing it. So add the Apptainer repository, and that's going to be this line here. Install Apptainer. Whoops. And that's going to be all this. We can do this on one line if we want. So we can say like this. Right here. We can do ampersand like that if we want. Same way we do it inside Docker container so that we don't get extra layers. Some of you guys, if you've ever wondered about like why it matters that you have extra layers, it does matter because it makes the image bigger, and it causes the image to be different than other images. So typically we try to keep the layering down. The number for each command you do inside of Apptainer is a little different, but inside of Docker, every single command that you do, every time you do a run or you do a copy or you do whatever, you build another layer into that image. And the more layers there are, just it's more like footprint. It's more memory. It's more everything. So we try to minimize those. That's why you see people do stuff like this inside of container builds often. Whereas I normally wouldn't necessarily do that in a command. Like I would just make you do 2 commands at a command line, you know. All right. Check your verify your Apptainer is installed and on a version you expect. And that's just grab this. Apptainer version. Boom. All right. All right, and then build, define, and build out a apptainer.def file. So it's and this is going to be vi my. So let's cd back to root for this one, and then vi my image.def, right? And then in here. Copy in the following lines. If you guys don't use that tool much, VI, you just need to press I to go into insert mode, and we're going to capture all of this and drop this into that image, right? So this will show up as a plain block inside of there, and you can just click on it and copy it basically, right? And then we're going to say build a .cif file for Aptainer image for an Aptainer. And this is going to be something like this. Run the file. Run the image as a container. Whoops. Grab this. Fix this. Aptainer run. Check if this works or if there is an error. Can you fix the error? And then if you wanted to fix the error, the fix for the error comes from a pathing issue in the cowsay command. Fix the pathing and rebuild. So to fix the pathing and rebuild, we're going to, we need all the way up to here. Although we don't need that other part. We don't need the CD. This is user games cowsay, right? If this properly prints to the screen, you have fixed your image, which it should. Okay. And then I guess the thing that we could do to check to make sure that this works is we can just curl that. So our verification for this will be, oh, well, we already had that, but we could also just say if you're running, oh, that's funny, grep. What did that look like when it was running? Anybody catch that? What did that look like when it was running? I guess we could use any of this, but can also modify that so it's a little, you know, it's got ProLUG in it or something. That's fine. There you go. Boom. As long as Flask gap is in there, this will move forward. All right. So that part's now done. We'll say fix step lab 6 step 1. Commit that up. Whoops. Save all and commit. Yeah, that was my bad. Push it up. And then now we got to back out of it and let it build again. If you guys don't know, that's going off of GitHub action. So we'll see the git sync right here. And then we're going to see the new commit right here. It'll say fix step 6 or lab, 6 step 1. Once that's done, it's actually building the labs again behind the scenes. I like to give it a second though because it does take a little bit of time. Learn how to automate container builds using various techniques. Now we're not automating them yet, we're just building them. Automation will come here in a second. Right, but you got to be able to build the simple things before you can automate things, right? You got to crawl, walk, run type thing. If you guys are familiar with the method, we call it the crawl, walk, run methodology. All right, so here's the thing. You're doing all this. Cool, 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 cool. Get down here, build all this. Good, 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 good. Okay. I might modify this in the future too, where this goes and pulls the we might even make this do something more useful with Aptainer. I don't use Aptainer much. I've had to support it a little bit, but I'd be interested in getting it, you know, working a little better for you guys to show you some of the capabilities. Because there's a lot of scientific capabilities. We use it in the NOAA space NOAA. Actually, said, why does the number 666 appear so much in Linux? I'm not sure. I've never seen that before. I mean, there's the Doom port, but that's not specific to Linux, right? There's the Doom port, which is 666 of the well-known ports. That's for the old game Doom from, what was that game? It was like ID Studios, or id, whatever it was. Yeah. But that's not specific to Linux. That just happens to be in Linux. All right, let's run through this. I always, if you guys haven't been around, I always make sure everything works in a lab. So check the Docker file, good. Check the requirements text, good. Check that we can read the basic system and we can run and render the index.html, good. Go look at the index.html. It's got a basic little Flask app, good. We can build it. Oh. Hold on. Oh, we got to build it first. No, I didn't build it. Build it and then tag it. That was my bad. Went too far down in my lab. It's going to copy everything in. Again, each one of these is its own layer. And again, starts to cause some bloat. So you need to watch how much you change or install things. All right, so that's good. Tag it. Push it up, that's fine. And then let's just run it in the background to make sure that it is running. Boom. And look at it. There it is. Team also wants to build out some Apptainer, so we're going to install Apptainer, put the repository on, pull down the metadata for the repository, and install Apptainer and Apptainer Suid. Right? Get that on here. And then we'll look at the Apptainer version once that's done and keep building stuff. So my labs are typically designed to walk you guys through things, kind of pull you along. And then you look at them and you go, oh, I can fix this, I can do that. And you can just keep adding things to it as you kind of go. While this is going, I'll tell you guys a funny story. I met with my, so some of you guys know I'm working on my doctorate right now and I'm doing my dissertation. I met with my chair, right? So my chair that's kind of helping me along. And it was me and 3 other guys showed up. Six or seven guys didn't show up. So that was kind of funny. So it was only like 3 of us. All 3 of us were greatly behind in our own estimation from where we should be. And he was kind of trying to encourage us to keep going. Yeah, Hayes, I think the question was just, do I think that everybody should do Linux? And honestly, like, if we're talking like on the command line, or sorry, like on the desktop, I don't think, like, you'll find, guys, that I'm not just like some like Linux purist that like, literally every tool, the only thing I have is a hammer, and it's the hammer called Linux, and that's all I use. I think Linux is like the best engineering tool around. Absolutely, 100%. But for like the average user that literally just wants to like get in a car and turn it on and drive it 5 miles, why would they want to do, you know what I'm saying? Like why would the average person that just wants to do like productivity stuff and get on and read their emails and do like PowerPoint and like read CSV files and like respond to emails all day and like do management stuff, why would they want to be on Linux, right? Like, but for engineers, I do think Linux is like kind of the standard. I do think we do a lot of our stuff down here. Anyway, so there's my app repository. Got my install of Apptainer. Look at our version. We got our version there. Good. We'll cd back to root and then make an image def. And we'll go and copy this in. I don't know why that's coming up for the first time ever. But we'll hit I over here and we'll right click to paste it. Oh, jeez. We will right click and copy and right click and paste, and boom, there it is. And then now if we build that out and we maybe cat that file, we see that it's got the lines that we expect, whatever. It's going to pull down from Ubuntu 2004. It's going to update it. It's going to install cowsay, and then it's going to say something, put it in a file. Then it's going to run, and when it runs, it's going to cat out the message and then use cowsay to say Apptainer is awesome, right? So let's see if that actually works. So build it out. Do these things. Yeah, Hayes, I'm 100% in agreement that there's other things that are better for desktop. I mean, I like to do gaming, and everybody insists that Linux gaming is just as good right now, but I don't know that I see that. Right? Also, like, all through college, I used older Ubuntu. Like, all through college, I did all Ubuntu. And then, like, one day my system just crashed, and I'm like, really? And, you know, I kind of moved off of being a Linux desktop purist. That was probably 2011-ish. So I am not a purist on the desktop at all. But I've run into plenty. I think any tool that can get you into Linux is fine. I mean, look, people get on me all the time about using PuTTY. Really doesn't matter. Once I can get into the command line, I can do whatever I want, right? Doesn't matter the vehicle by which I get into the command line for me. All right, we've built that. Let's run it. And it broke. It says hello from inside the container. It catted out, but then we had a problem running calce. Calce was not found in the paths that are in there. So we say, okay, let's go fix that path. Come down here. And we're going to add right here user games calce, right? That's what's added right here. Rebuild that image. Yes. Oh, I might say right here you have to accept the changes. Hold on. Let's get out of here. Text to Aptainer. Where's Aptainer? When you rebuild, you will have to hit Y to reset. You will have to hit Y to overwrite the current container. Okay, boom. So look around and find some other instances or use cases of Aptainer now that you have a working. Right? So look around and find some other instances or use case of Aptainer now that you have a working installed copy on your system. I'm a big fan of, I tell you guys all the time, like, I'm really convinced with most engineers, if you can see it work once, you're gonna just run off and do all kinds of other good things, right? Like, now that you've seen this, you're like, oh, well, shoot, if I can do that, I could go turn it into, I do this and I compare it to this other one that was like maybe just looking at some Flask or something, and you go, well, I could turn this into a little web server and I could do this and this, and then next thing you know, that's how you build things in the future, right? Because that's maybe an easier pipeline for you to build the same thing over and over again. That's how a lot of these tools are. I really just think as engineers, oh, let's hit check and it'll move forward. Validation successful. Good. So now we got to go do the different parts of the lab, right? So we're gonna hit Control S on this because now lab 1 is done, right? So we'll say updated lab. So it's lab 6 step 1 and validated. Good. So that's good. Now we're going to go to the next part, which is going to be kind of the, I think the next part was like running it. Let's look. Let's go see what my next part is. Boom. My wife's downstairs showing off one of the presents I got her. If you guys got here later, this is a present I got for my wife. I got her a bunch of presents. Her birthday's coming up, but I got her one of these little things. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of these little things. It draws in the sand. It just pulls this little, it's got a little motor underneath, and then it's got a just a steel ball on top, and it just rolls like Sisyphus pushing the rock, and it just makes these little things. So she's super happy with it. She's been playing with it. This is what it looked like before the sand got mixed. And then this is like one of the things is it's driving around and mixing the sand. This was it early on. Just kind of rolling around, building things, and it makes really cool little designs. Like it does a pretty decent resolution for having such a fat pen. Like, because if you think about it, that's kind of like a fat brush to draw with, right? Like just having all you have is this roller, but it surprisingly can do some kind of fine resolution things sometimes. And she's super happy. She's showing it to one of her friends downstairs right now. It's kind of funny. All right. That's my wife, though. My silly wife. Okay, anyway. Her birthday's coming up. The big 4-9. And you say, wait a minute. She's turning 49. Yes. And she's got one more state to hit. She's been doing all the 50 states before she's 50. She's got one more state. We're going to Alaska next year. So Alaska before she hits 50. That'll be all 50 states before 50. That's a goal I won't hit because I don't care about it. All right, let's go to lab 2. What did I call lab 2? So I said, now we're going to use Packer. So Packer's another tool. And Packer is on the system because we installed it. Yep, Packer. And now we can go get some Packer templates. I have some, I think, somewhere. I got them stuffed away. But we could add our software with Packer now to that, like that same image that we did earlier where we had we can actually do the same basic stuff, and then we can pull in a requirements file differently. Hey, Outcast Wanderer, how's it going? We're not working too hard today, right? This is the general theme of me in general right now, is like just not working too hard. But I am building out some of the labs and getting them a little more ready for the automation course. I would put myself at about 1/6 of the way done with what I needed to do yesterday. And then, God, I've got to work on my dissertation, guys. I have not done anything. I have something due today that I have not even touched. So, I only have about 60 pages to write for tonight. You say, how are you going to write 60 pages? Very fast. I got this thing called an internal review board that I have to push through. So I have to have my first 3 chapters pretty well put together. There's 5 chapters in a dissertation. First 3 chapters have to be pretty well organized. Third one's not done yet. The first 2 should be, but mine are not. And then the IRB is kind of getting approval to do research. You have to have approval before you do any research. And my thing is I'm not using humans for research. I'm doing systems because I'm a systems engineer. So I need to be writing my methodology and that kind of stuff for like the kind of data that I want to collect. I'm going to be collecting data, if you guys don't know, around Bastion nodes, and it's honeypotting, but it's not honeypotting for the sake of honeypotting. It's Bastion nodes and using Bastion nodes as honeypots. So we'll be doing some off-stream stuff too. So if anybody's super interested in kind of what that kind of research looks like, let me know. But I'm always down in the Discord doing something, but I have a lot to write, like a whole lot to write. And I'm planning on using this next week. That's mostly off to do a lot of the writing. Although, as you guys heard me say, the wife's birthday's on Wednesday, and then we have, 40 or 50 family members coming over on Thursday. So that's going to be kind of a busy day. Busy downstairs and all that good stuff. So, yeah, what can you do? All right. So this lab is step 1's done. Now let's do Docker next. Next one will be Docker. Let's we might cheat a little bit. So we've got Packer tutorial, right? So Packer has their they even have how you can run a Packer pipeline. But that doesn't exist anymore, so that's fun. We want, let's see, manage VMs. We don't want that. We don't want to provision unless, nope, we don't need an SSH key or any of that kind of stuff. Nope. There should just be, let's see if they have a simple little, there's a little GitOps pipeline, but then you got to use Packer Nomad on console. We don't want that much tooling. We really just want to push artifact, create child artifact. I mean, they are artifacts. See if they have any good ones. No. No, we don't want any of these things. They're going to do an EC2 image. So this is where I normally have used Packer over the years, is to build EC2 AMIs. But the problem with this in the lab, because you say, well, why don't we do this in the lab? Well, because each person is going to have to put in their own keys from AWS, and I just, you know, I think Killer Code is a great tool. I think it's awesome. I still wouldn't put my keys in there. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to put my keys in somebody else's system that I don't control. So even if I trusted them explicitly, I still wouldn't do that, because it's not how keys work, right? You don't just give them to everybody. I think they have, yeah, maybe a basic little image. HashiCorp Docker. They're going to download and do like a learn Packer, and then now they've got their Packer. But let's see if they have, so they're going to pull down Ubuntu Jammy, right, a specific version. They've got a build, and then they're doing some Packer stuff. They'll build some stuff, but what we want to do is configure software. Yeah. So we want to go into this part where now we're going to start to load maybe our software. So in here they're doing inline, and they're adding just some variables and that kind of stuff. So that's good. But how do we copy in? All right, so now you've got your local image and Docker images. Good. Add some more provisioner. So here's a provisioner shell, right? That's good. That's good. But what we need is next variable. I want to actually load in my, instead of just adding stuff like this, I want to actually add in my software, right? Or Docker image. So here's like a variable for a specific image. But I want to see if they have, because I don't have any examples of this. Okay. Pull in a Docker image. You can do a specific OS version. I don't care about that. I want to push my software in there, so I might have to see what the post-processing is. Let's see if there's just, how do we add a file with Packer? Okay, so we could just pull a file. Okay, so provisioner file and just drop it in there. Okay, we're going to need to do that to then be able to run. So inline here, they're just running something inside of there, right? So in a provisioner shell, they're setting up variables and then running those variables. I want to push a file in, right? I need to provision and push a file in. In fact, 2 files. I need the requirements file, requirements.txt, and then also my, well, I need 3 actually, and then I also need my index.html, right? To push them and run them. And then if we want it, well, if we want to use the same exact thing that we're doing over here in the first step. So if we want to use these files, we need to, where are they? Index.html. If we want to use this file, and if we want to use this file, and we don't need this file because Docker isn't going to be used. We're going to use that one. And then view this one. If we want to use these, right? Then we need all that. So that's kind of my thoughts. Segfaults, thanks for the follow. Hopefully this stuff's useful to you. I'm not working super hard right now, and I'm not strictly speaking doing all Linux. Normally I'm doing all the Linux, but we are building out labs for the automation course. So the labs deal with some of these other tools that apparently in my case I haven't used Packer in a while, so I don't remember all this. But I think I'll be able to cobble something together here in a second. Have you guys ever heard of, what the hell is this? Minnesota sushi? I think it's because we were talking about sushi. Ham pickle roll-ups. Nope. That doesn't look like sushi. All right, guys, I'm gonna go see what the wife's doing downstairs. I'm gonna put my little rotator tab on and say take a quick break. I want to see what kind of fun stuff they're doing. I think they're making candles or something, which doesn't sound super fun to me, but maybe. Again, not working super hard today. I'll be back. Let me move this. Nope. This over here. If anybody wants this. Also, all this stuff is out in an open GitHub, so if anybody ever needs any of the labs or anything that I build, you can just find my GitHub in the Discord. I'll be back. Take a break. All right, I'm back. Looks like they're getting ready to build candles or something downstairs. I'll be honest, I don't know what any of that stuff is, but that's what the wife's doing with one of her book clubs. So I'm going to hang out upstairs away from all that. That all sounds terrible to me. I don't want to be around any of that stuff. Essential oils and candle making and nope. None of that. Just stay up here and build stuff. Also, we should check on the Discord, see what's going on over there. I think good stuff's going on. This is a little sand thing I bought the wife. Oh, Fisherman's app. So, Fisherman Guy Bro built a bot called Fisherman Guy Bot, and it tells us what kind of messages are going on. It kind of aggregates everything. Here's all the messages for the last 7 days in the server. Who talked the most? What the discussions were the most. It's actually funny that it's Linux server troubleshooting. I would have thought it was something else with everybody talking about other stuff. So that's kind of funny. Also, you can talk to the bot if you're lonely. I think you would just say hi. The bot will just say hi. It'll tell you. Here's the main admin tasks in Linux, right? That's probably all pretty. That's not terrible. It's not a terrible list. It's pretty accurate. Back up in Disastery. Yeah, I gotta make some labs for that too. Shoot. Too many things to do, guys. Alright, but that Discord's there. If anybody wants it, that's free. We're almost 4,400 people. Just hanging out, doing Linux. My wife's down there telling her friends in book club because they saw the Reader's Digest that we have. And the wife just told them, I feel like my husband knows all the words. Because there's the, if you guys have ever seen Reader's Digest, there's this challenge, like for obscure words, and I always know all of them. It's Reader's Digest, not Regent Digest. Anyways, and she's down there telling them, and I'm like, my wife, it's super funny. Like, I joke around with her all the time. I'll tell her something, and she'll be like, I'm surprised you knew that. And I'm like, you're surprised your college professor husband, who's been an engineer for almost 30 years and like been a college professor for 20 years, knew something? You're surprised that I knew something? Like, I'm like, do you just think I'm like a dummy? Like, it's funny. Like, people close to you never know that you know stuff. It's kind of funny. But maybe I don't know all that much. Maybe I just think I do. But it's funny because the wife doesn't have very high expectations of me. And that's probably because she knows me. But, all right, anyways, let's get back to this. We're going to do lab. So lab step 2 is going to be based on this, which is lab step 2 is use Packer to build a Docker image. So now, go back up here. Your team has decided to use Packer as a tool for accurately pushing, building and pushing images in your environment. You have decided to use it to push your simple Flask app and test the capabilities of putting it into a pipeline, like a CI/CD type pipeline, right? Which will be the last task of this, right? So the first one was build simple things with Packer and Aptainer. Now we're using, Packer and Aptainer, just simple Docker commands, right? Just a Docker file. Just build this stupid thing and from a Docker file, which, by the way, perfectly acceptable way to do CI/CD, guys. Hopefully you don't think, oh, Scott's shitting on this. No, this is an absolutely fantastic way to do this process right here, just building out and having a new Docker file and just building your environment over and over again. There's nothing wrong with that. It's perfectly acceptable. In fact, I would say more than using these tools or learning these things, being able to do that in a simple way is probably all most devs ever need. We're in this course doing automation stuff, so we're focused on kind of this next part, which is helping to like maybe take a bunch of teams. Maybe we have like 30, or in my case, 200 dev teams. And those dev teams are all, requiring certain images or certain things to be built over and over again, or we need to test and make sure that we're moving off of old versions of stuff and code still works. So we might be building like a CI/CD pipeline to do regression testing and all these other types of things, right? Like there's all these reasons why we might do something like this. But what we're going to do for this lab is we're just going to test that we can make it work once. Because again, I always tell you guys, like as engineers, I really believe once I show you guys how to do something once, or even for myself, Once I can get it to work once, I can go spin off and do all kinds of stuff with these tools. I just need to figure out how to get it to run the one time, right? Then figuring out the variables and figuring out all this other stuff, that's just just a function of time basically then, right? For me to figure out the last little parts. So provisioner shell, provisioner file. Okay. So we're gonna take this basic thing here, right? That comes directly. This comes directly from Packer. We'll probably even take this and put this in our notes, right? Man, I wish I could type. Reference. Right, and what are we doing? Deploy with Packer, and those steps. And A is going to be get. We're not going to use Ubuntu. We're going to use Python image. Right? Get Python image, push up our code, right? And our code is three things. It is our Flask, so it's our requirements .text. It is our so it's our Python Flask app, right? And app. And then it's our HTML index HTML page, right? So it's just those are the basic things that we're gonna do, and then push up our code, C install requirements, D set that last thing we need to do. Hold on, it's in the Docker file. Set the It's technically a command. It's application, but it's the command for the application, right? So these are the provision. This is how we would provision in this environment with that tool, right? Provisioning with Packer just as some base thing, right? So, hey Colcus, how's it going? We're not working too hard right now. We've just been going through this lab. I got all the step 1 done. So for people that got here a little later, step 1 is, shows you that this lab is part of a larger setup. This is lab 6, by the way. Your development teams have decided to build their own container images, and you have decided to work on different container image tools to practice modifying containers that are publicly available. Your goal is to modify them with your own requirements list and of additional software, and also your custom application code. So we do that with a Docker file. That's like pretty straightforward. And then we do it with an Aptainer file, which we did that day when we met up. I haven't recorded Unit 6 yet, though. Or 7 or 8. I got to get back to all of them. But that's why I'm finishing up Unit 6 here today. So we got that step done. Now we're on step 2. So that was Docker file and Aptainer. Step 2, we're starting to use HashiCorp Packer. And these are the steps for our HashiCorp Packer stuff, right? We're going to deploy with Packer. We're going to get a Python image. So we're going to take, right? I mean, as with all of these things, we're going to take a bunch of things that are available here. Like a lot of this stuff is going to be the same, right? We're going to need Packer as our required plugin. And then we're going to need a Docker image, but the variable here will be something else. And then we'll pull down Docker image, but it won't be Ubuntu. We'll name it probably Python or maybe even Flask. And then the image will be, instead of the variable Docker image, which is doing Ubuntu Jammy, we'll use Python 3.9. That's what we're using in the other one. And then we'll, so that's set in the variable. Here's our source where we pulled down the image. And then it looks like they also have a different one, which we don't need Ubuntu Focal. We're only going to need the one source, right, for Docker. And then we're going to build it, and we're going to build it different than this, right? We're going to give it a different name. We're going to give it some different sources. We're only going to build the one, so we don't need to do multiple sources. And then we're going to do some provisioner stuff, which is pushing in our, and we don't even see the provisioner shell. We need to do the provisioner file, right? We're going to push in our requirements text, our Python Flask app, and our index.html page. And then once we do that, we're going to cause it to run, right? We're going to set the entry point in CMD. Let's see if Packer... Type Docker. Just set an entry point. See what Stack Overflow says. This is how you would do it normally on like a... But how do you do that in Packer? Need to make sure I have... you can just set the entry point. Yeah, so if we just set the entry point in there when we build it, that's fine. So that'll be here. Pretty straightforward, right? All we gotta do then is just go put the pieces together. I'm just sitting here like looking at the pieces on the floor and not wanting to do it. It's a rainy Sunday here in Phoenix, so it's only like 60 degrees out too. It's pretty wonderful outside, but it is kind of cold. Also, I went out this morning to get me and the wife breakfast. There's a little Mexican food place by us that has pretty good little rancho steak breakfast thing, like a breakfast plate. I think it's called, anyways, it's pretty good. But my neighbor next door has a big tree in his front yard, like big tree, like up directly in front of his house and just off to the north of my house. And come out, it's raining, right? It's still raining when I go out this morning. And it's, there is, actually I could post, I'll post pictures of it in the Discord for people to, cause it's easier to show you than, my neighbor's house. My neighbor's house this morning. So as I'm backing up, I see this. Hold on, I'll pull this up real quick for you guys. Sports and outdoors. His house, this is his big giant tree. Look, that's a big tree out in front. Yes, I do have a cool sign in front of my house that tells them not to park for school. But this is my neighbor. And yeah, looks like people decided to throw... They tried to toilet paper his house, but they tried to do it in the rain. And I'm pretty sure that these are just all going to dissolve off of this tree today. He's got this tree. And you might say, how's it like, being next door to a giant tree? Well, it's not that big of a deal, but I'll tell you what, it is, man, sometimes in spring, the birds there's like 1,000 birds in this tree and they just sing. And there's no other way to describe it than a cacophony of sound. It is a fucking massive amount. It's like a rock concert out there. And you say, really? It is so loud out there in his tree with these birds just singing and being all crazy that you can't even hear yourself think if you're underneath it. You might not believe me, guys, but I'm going to tell you that's the loudest tree I've ever been around in my life. But anyways, hold on. Wait, I was going to show you guys one other thing because I just noticed it in this other picture. Do you guys remember I told you Cox came out and did this thing in my front yard, and then it like has been buried multiple times because of the rain? Yeah, so the rain comes around my house and runs down right here, and it has filled this thing in and buried it multiple times. And I'm just like, well. So anyways, this is the in my front yard here. Also looks like I got a weed, but it's hard to stop weeds when there's that going on. Anyways, yeah, this is my neighbor's house with his freaking big old tree. All right, anyways, big old tree and all kinds of again, toilet paper is not going to be very effective to stay up there in the rain. He was saying because I messaged him this morning. I said, I'm pretty sure your house got hit pretty good, and he goes probably my kids' friends. I'll have them go clean up because he's got teenage kids. So I thought it was funny. All right. Anyway, so that's outside, but I'm basically just biding my time because I just don't want to bother doing this right now. Yeah, Packer build. We'll build this. We should just make our own directory for Packer, and then we'll have that. And then the last one that we're gonna do. So, by the way, for people who got here later, the last of all of these steps, when we're all done with all of this stuff, is going to be the last step is going to be trigger the pipeline to build Docker. So what we're going to do is we'll set up in this lab. In this lab, we'll do a little bit of backing up, and we'll set up what we call the set up a tool called Kafka, right? And then we'll just have some event happen, and we'll have a listener listening. And when that event happens, that event can be something as simple like you can write your code, and like a lot of times we think, oh, everything has to be a GitHub trigger, everything has to be pushed up. Well, no, if you just want in your own directories, you could. I've seen engineers do this, and I actually think this is brilliant. They just write a little file in a directory. They just update a file or something, and they just have something watching for that file to be updated, or they have something that just reads when there's a change in a directory, and then it just rebuilds all their code. And there's a lot of ways to do it. You don't have to be that crazy about it. But what we'll do in this one is we'll just send a trigger up into Kafka for fun, and then Kafka will be listening to Kafka as though something had changed in the environment, and then we'll just rebuild our pipeline, right? And then we'll just rebuild Packer. So that'll be step 3. I'm just thinking about it now before we get there. Kafka part of it's easy to build. We do it in another lab, so we'll just pull that stuff over. Right, stealing from ourselves is better than rebuilding anything. Oh, you guys want to hear something else funny? I was supposed to be working on my dissertation all yesterday, and I ended up making the wife watch Alien and Aliens yesterday. She had never seen either of those 2 movies, so she got to see Bill Paxton go, "It's game over, man. This is bullshit, man. Fucking, we're all dead, man. I don't know if you're keeping score, but we just got our asses kicked, man." I love Bill Paxton. If you guys don't know, he died back in God, it's been like 8 years now. I looked it up yesterday. I was like 2017. I thought he died like around COVID time, but he died before. If you guys don't know who Bill Paxton is, go look him up. He's just a fantastic author, or a fantastic actor. Not even. And he's the bad guy in. He's the bad guy in what's it called? Not a bad guy, but he's in the movie True Lies. He's not really a bad guy. He's just trying to. You have to watch it, but it's funny. He pretends to be a spy and he's not. All right, man, guys, I just don't want to do anything right now. I get like halfway through this and I'm just like, I'm done. Let's clean this up. We're gonna since we don't want to work, we're just gonna work slow. How's that? Teams decide to use HashiCorp Packers as tools. Build the same image. Build the same container that you did with Docker in step 1. So build the same container that you did with Docker in step 1. Focus on tagging the version. We don't need to. We don't need to say that. We'll just do it as we do it. But build the same container that you did with Docker in step 1, but with the name Packer prepended right to it. Prepended means before, right? Appended means after. So, but with the name Packer appended to it, so it'll be like Packer Flask instead of whatever the other one is. Yeah, there we go. We're gonna tag it probably with the date as well, or the date and time as well too. Hold on, got people messaging me. Again, it's a rainy Sunday here, so I'm not working super hard. All right. Sorry, guys. I stopped talking for a minute there. I was reading too many messages. It's like as soon as you start streaming, people just start messaging you out of the blue. Not like from stream, but like just people I know. So many people texting and messaging and. Oh, also, they're getting loud downstairs. I might have to go close that door. Northern Chimp, how's it going? I might have missed your original message, but I'm just kind of working on getting stuff going in the labs for everybody. I gotta catch up on units 6 and 7, and then once I get those done, I'm going to record 6, 7, and 8 for the automation course. I plan on getting those all done this week. I also have to get I don't know. I have somewhere between like 40 to 80 pages of my dissertation to write, depending on who you ask. And, well, that's only, due in like 11 hours or something. So that's wonderful. I haven't fucking done any of it. Oh, gosh. I still have weeks left in the class, but I have this one like checkpoint thing due. But I don't feel super bad because I was saying this earlier, and Cole, because I don't think you were here earlier when I said this, but there was like 8 or 9 people that were supposed to show up yesterday on Friday for this meeting with our chair for our dissertation, like our doctoral stuff, and only 3 of like the 8 or 9 of us showed up. So a bunch of people didn't even show up. And then of the 3 of us that showed up, all 3 of us thought we were dramatically behind. So that was kind of funny. That like 3 of us were just admitting we were behind, and the other 6 just didn't even show up. Which I thought was funny. They were just like, fuck it, we're not going to worry about this until after Thanksgiving. Me, I'm going to be working on this stuff the rest of tonight when I'm done streaming. And, man, I got a lot to do. But, all right, anyway, so that's what we're doing. So anybody wondering, we're not working super hard. We've got a Discord that you guys can hang out in if you want. That's always free. You can go hang out with other engineers and like-minded people. We're almost up to 4,400 people in there, which is pretty good, right? That's not a bad little block of people that are either in the Linux space or trying to get in the space. And the question I've been getting, actually I got it earlier today on here, and then I get asked this often by people, is like, can you still do Linux professionally? Is that still a thing? And I really think it is, man. I mean, But you're talking to somebody who's maybe a little biased because I've been running teams of just strictly Linux engineers for the last 15 years. I've been running them, like in charge of them. And when I say in charge, I'm not a manager. I've never been a manager. I've always been the tech lead. The guy who just kind of people come to and ask questions. And typically I don't know anything. I just know how to go reference it. But I try to help out and build stuff and be good at it. So try to be good at it. Not always good at it, but all right, we gotta, man, I'm knocking a lot of dust off my brain with Packer. I haven't built a Packer pipeline in a while, but this is pretty straightforward, guys. We're just gonna take all of these things, right? We're gonna take all this. This is the whole block right here, and we're just gonna modify it for the things that we need to do in our lab. That's all we're gonna do. We're literally gonna be like, have you guys ever seen that meme? Meme of stealing code v design. Have you guys ever seen this? This is one of my favorite meme types. Designers, we have similar ideas. You stole it from me. Programmers, man, I stole your code. It's not my code. This is like the best thing ever, but it's like, hey bro, I'll steal your code. It's not my code, bro. Or it was stolen when I got it is another way to put that. I always love that one. But this one's always been funny to me because like designers are like, we have similar ideas. No, you stole it. And then programmers are like, man, I stole your code. It's not my code. That's so funny to me. Let's see if I can copy that image and drop that in Discord. I need to go. I haven't dropped a meme in here today. There you go. Boom. Funny every time, guys. Funny every time. What else? I was telling you guys, I think I dropped more sandbox stuff up here. This is the little thing that my wife got. I got this for her well, I got her a bunch of stuff for her birthday, but this is one of the things I got her. Just draws these little art things over and over again. All right, let me get this crap out of here. I just don't want to start. It's too much work. Too much thinking. Let's do just this part. And where's our killer coda? Technically it'll be this lab because this lab's going to build all the basic stuff. Let's just get this, whoops, let's just get this running. And then once we kind of get this running, then we'll go through this in our notes. So Packer build. We'll make a Packer directory. And you guys might say, Scott, do you really need to be explicit and do full pathing every time? No, but I mean, I do that in the lab just so no matter where you're at, it's right. VI, let's just call this, oh, excuse me. Let's just call it Docker. Right, and then in this file, we're going to do something that looks like this. That's terrible. And then the image is going to be Python. What is our image? Let's go look. Get out of there. The Python image will be Python 3.9 Alpine. Just so it's exactly the same. There we go. And then var will be the string Docker image. So this will be, we'll call this Flask. Boom. That's going to be the source Docker. So Docker here is the tool that's using, like the plugin that's using, and this is the name you're giving that whatever you're doing. So this is a variable named Docker _ image, and then down here, Docker _ image is the variable that's being called as the image for Docker Flask, which is going to be the image that's pulled down, right? So if we, where's the shit? Where'd it go? Where's this at? Boom. Let's see if Packer's there. CD to make dir root Packer CD Packer vi docker flask dot packer dot hcl, and then in here we'll paste that. All right, so if that's right, make this a little bigger so you guys can read it easier. If that's right, we should be able to do docker packer build in here. Oh, we need to do, so we need to do packer init. Good, and that'll download. Packer init. Dot. There we go. Packer init. Download the things that we need if they're there, and then packer build. Build block is one or more sources. Okay, what am I missing here? I'm missing something. Oh yeah, build. Okay, we're just gonna build. And we're gonna strip build out. Don't need any of the stuff in build. Except for, then the source will be docker flask, because the name, we said we wanted the name to be packer flask, right? Something like that. And we don't need, and technically we don't need that there. Packer build. Pull all that off. Yep. Let's see. So to pull the image, it'll do all that stuff. Let's go fix our line, because obviously I broke that. But everything else is working for that. That's good. Let's cat docker flask. This is what we need to put in there. Boom. And because we need a basic build. And then we also need to, after we make this, so then execute with packer init dot and then packer build doc, right? So execute the environment. So this would be setup and pull the needed plugins. That's that one. And then this one is setup. Hey Exile Dragon, how's it going? We're just not working super hard. So setup build the packer image. Now, we have not done anything with this image, but on this system, we should be, oh god damn, where's the system at? Right here. I should be able to now say Docker images, and I should see that Python one that we just built. Oh, here's the thing. We didn't tag that one that we just built in any way. So we did download the Python one originally, but let's do a little post build just for fun, just for cleanliness. It says it right down here. When we're all done, we're going to do a little bit of a post processing in there, right? Give it a Docker tag of the name that we want to give it. So we don't need these other ones. And we don't need to do the Docker Ubuntu, like any of those things. We're going to modify that repository. We're going to modify all this. Yeah. Yep. We only want to give it, we're just going to call it Flask. So, and repository is going to be modified to what we also have. So, where the hell's that at? Here. in the build, right? So this has to happen here in the build. Paste. Okay. Post processor is still Docker tag because that's still a post processor. Repository is going to stay. And tags, we're just going to call this. This other one's not necessary. And only for Docker underscore Ubuntu is not going to be Docker underscore or Docker.Ubuntu. The name is now Docker. The Docker, the Flask, because that's the name. Right, so the source Docker Flask. Docker Flask. I think. Or it'll break. And we'll see. If it breaks all over the place, it is what it is. Exile, I'm doing good. I'm kind of stressed. I got a lot going on, but this is my me messing around, I guess. Docker images. There's repository, Packer Flask, and then tag is Packer Flask. Because we wanted to arbitrarily put the name on the front of it, which is fine, right? So we'll drop that in here as well. We just did. This goes right here as well. And then the next thing we do after we get that done, we say now verify that you have built the image in Docker, and it's a Docker image, right? Docker images should pop that up, right? There's our images. We see the one that was just built, but we haven't. But we haven't put any of our application requirements or code into this container yet, right? We've literally, all we've done is pull it down and tag it in some way. Well, anybody can do that, right? You just Docker image pull whatever and then tag it, right? Docker image tag, right? We didn't do anything clever here, is my point. But what we did do is we got the things that we need down into the environment so that we can go do that next part. And the next part is literally just taking these other files that we have and pulling them in. So let's go put those in there. Oh man. So where's the Flask one? Where's the file? Right. So where are we gonna put any of these files? My Docker file up here. We'll just use the working directory as app, right? There was a question on YouTube for a quick context. Oh, so I'm just building. These are labs out in Killer Coda. They're free labs that anybody can do, and I'm just building the lab right now. So the lab, though, is on this focus. So the question around, like, what are we doing? Where the hell did I literally just, hold on, Control-Shift-T to bring it back. We are building the automating Docker builds part of the lab right now. So this is from our Linux Automation Engineering course, which is free, right? This is a free course that you guys can do if you want. It's out there on the web. It's also in our Discord. It's right here if anybody needs it. But this is a quick context of what we're doing for anybody that needs it. And in the automating Docker build part, we have previously done, here in step 1, we did 2 things. We built it with a Docker image. We just used a Docker image, which is this right here. Loaded up some requirements, built an app. Then we used a tool called Apptainer to do something similar. Now we're down in step 2 of the lab, and in step 2 of the lab, we're going to use HashiCorp Packer as the tool to build that. Now, after we do these 2 very, like, relatively straightforward things that I'm showing, and again, like, we're not doing the lab right now. We're back behind. It's almost like you're watching me behind the scenes building the lab, because that's really what you're watching. We have all kinds of labs that are built that if we went and did them, you would just walk through the lab, right? You guys are kind of watching me. This is like how the biscuits get made. So this is maybe less interesting for somebody that wants to learn this stuff, but I am online doing it because there's a place for you guys to go, right? There's our Discord with 4,300 people or whatever that are all, how many of them are there right now? It says there are 4,354. So we got a pretty good number of people hanging out in the Discord doing stuff. So trying to get people into doing this stuff professionally, trying to show you guys that there's a path to get into Linux administration if people are interested in doing that. And that's kind of why I go live in general, is to do that. In fact, I was showing the wife the other day, like I've been streaming live for like, I don't know, 4 years now. I think it just hit 4 years the other day. And the funny thing is, I was showing her the numbers on like Twitch. In 4 years of streaming on Twitch, I made the same amount as one paycheck from engineering. So it's like, I don't do this for the pay, right? I do this to let you guys know. Do you need the Discord link? Yeah, give me a second here. Over on the YouTube, here is the Discord right here. Oh yeah, no, I've been streaming for a long time. I don't stream on YouTube very much. I've kind of started that like about a year ago, a little over a year and a half ago maybe. Yeah, Exile, you're definitely welcome to start down there. There's a great place in our Discord for people that are looking to start. It's called Beginner Start Here. And it's just like beginner start here, like absolute beginner stuff. Certs that are out there for getting you into the industry. Like these are certs that are not directly related to Linux, but I mention them all because they're free. And free and getting something on your resume, I think, is better than nothing. Yeah. So I like to give you guys that. And then there's playlists we've got a sysadmin course that teaches you, like, I wouldn't say that the Linux sysadmin course is strictly about being a great Linux administrator. Like, it doesn't teach you all the Linux. It teaches you how to do Linux for a company. And while there is a lot of Linux involved with this course, don't get me wrong, it's a heavy Linux course. But like CD, PWD, LS, like the real basics, like you kind of got to learn those on your own. And then there's a security engineering course, which is a little more advanced. We're actually in Unit 8 of that. And these are free. But when you do the courses, you do have to do like the discussion posts. So there's a bunch of discussion posts. And like you have to go in and like write up like what is security. And security is this confidentiality, integrity, and availability. And you have to go write up your answers for these things. And sometimes people say, oh, Scott's giving us homework and stuff. Yeah, but the reason I give you guys that homework and the reason I make you guys do this stuff is because being able to think through and articulate your thoughts and then write it out is a very valuable skill. It's what we do as engineers. And then anybody that's worried about it, maybe you look at it and go, oh, I don't really want people to review my work. Well, that's not how it works in engineering, right? In administration and engineering, people are going to look at what you do. So you have to, there's two options. Don't do anything and don't be an engineer, or we pull up our big boy pants and we say, big boy or big girl, I guess, but big boy pants is how we say it. And you fucking learn how to talk and show people, your ideas in a way that are valuable to you. So yeah, these are, I do this stuff for you guys because I want people to do Linux and get better at this stuff. All right, so anyways, that's the context of what I'm doing. But right now I'm using a tool called Packer, and we're pulling from their Packer documentation over here, right? So this is their labs to learn Packer. And we're modifying this stuff that they gave us here for some weird Ubuntu image. And we are instead provisioning and building into it. In our case, we're building in Python 3.9, and we're going to put in our Flask stuff. So we're going to do the same thing that we did over here in this other image, but we're over here building it ourselves. Yeah. There's actually, so one of the things I tell you guys, like especially with engineering, is like, you should be able to articulate what you think, and you should be able to either write it down or also talk about it in meetings. And if you don't feel comfortable talking in front of people or talking in meetings and stuff, you do have to go practice. You have to go, I often tell you guys, like, I think that Toastmasters is one of the greatest organizations ever. I did Toastmasters when I was in high school. I don't think I would be a college professor if I hadn't had Toastmasters. I really don't think so. Because I just wouldn't have been confident in talking in front of people. And like, I'm messing around today and I don't have myself on camera, but like I will I will talk in front of a group of, 600 engineers. I don't care. As long as I know that I know what I'm talking about, I'm perfectly fine with it, right? And I don't do things if I don't know what I'm talking about typically. I mean, well, except here when I'm just messing around. But my point showing you guys this is, there's stuff that you can do. You can get into this stuff. I'm just messing around with building these labs out. And typically, you guys would just see the finished labs, and you would just be like, "Oh, this guy knows all this stuff." Yeah, but that's not always true. I have to figure this stuff out just like anybody else, right? But this is the same kind of process that goes into engineering anything for me. Like, I will sit around and do something, and then when I get my notes all good and publish it to a repo or an artifact or an email to, another team or something, it's all cleaned up and done. They don't see all, people don't have to see how you make the biscuits, People don't have to see all the stuff behind the scenes. They just got to see the finished work. And the finished work is always clean and good, and they're like, "Oh, this guy's a genius." And you're like, "Oh no." I tell you guys all the time, if you watched me do work all day, you'd be like, "How does this guy get anything fucking done?" Well, you guys are seeing it a little bit now. You're probably like, anybody that's been hanging around is like, "How's this guy get anything done?" We're like 3 hours in, and I only have I'm about halfway through the lab. But I'm taking my time. I'm messing around, taking breaks and stuff. But the point is, we can build stuff. We just got to, lay out what we plan to do, and then, move through it. By the way, I've already done. Here's the things we've done so far. But we deployed with Packer. We've been able to do that. We've gotten a Python image. We haven't pushed our code yet. That's going to be our next part. And then we need to install the requirements, and then we need to set an entry point as a CMD, which I believe we found that over here, how to do that. So as we do this, we can expose a specific port and then have an entry point if we want. I don't need to expose a port because the application's going to expose a port. I'm just going to do entry point and the name of my application, right? Source Docker, whatever, changes label, env del. Yeah, sure. Sure. We can do all kinds of stuff with that if we need. But for now, we're going to do these 3 provisioner blocks to push this code that we have, right, up into this. And we'll probably have app. Yeah, that's fine. Everything can be an app, I think. In fact, I think when we actually look at our app, let's go look at our app file real quick. Where's our application? It's written in simple Flask. It's view.py. Yeah. It just goes right out of the main app route for index.html. So everything's just going to be in the main app directory here. That's fine. All right, let's see if we can provision these real quick in our environment. So there's the files that we have. Oh, and then the last one's up in templates. Okay, so let's fix this file real quick. So let's go vi this file. And it's in root Docker. Everything's in root Docker. All right. So right here. Let's paste. And we need to move this just for fun. And provisioner file is going to be, we're going to do this 3 times. So we're going to say y4y, and we're going to hit P. And then we're going to hit P. We're going to hit O. And that. And the files that we're going to pull over, I guess I could have done this after. Is going to be, the source is going to be root, Docker, template. I think root Docker template. I could type templates. Root Docker templates index.html. Templates. And we're going to just go to app. Everything will be an app. And this one is going to be root Docker view.py. And it's going to be app view.py. And then this last one will be root Docker requirements .text, and it'll be app. Right. And now the question will be, does that still build? Because if it doesn't build, then we got problems. Does it break all over the place? Does it work? We'll see. App must be a directory. We might have to make that directory first, so it's possible that we have to do a creation of that directory, which is possible then that we got to do a provisioner shell, right? And the provisioner shell would just be, instead of echoing that we're creating something, we would just be making it. So let's just do a provisioner like this, and then maybe make dir app. Build. Control Shift V. 1, 2. Sure. And then inline in the provisioner, it'll be make dir. Right. See if that works. Does it build the system? Yep. All right. So it built everything, put everything up there. So now we're going to take this and we're going to say to add we'll go to right here. Okay. Copy it. And over in our notes, right? Going back to our notes, we're going to say add the shell and file provisioners to move the code into the Flask container, and then these will be this, right? So we'll add those. But actually, we might need to add. There's a few other things we probably need to add real quick. So we need to say then after requirements is there, we need to should just be an inline. Yeah, so inline could be to just run our path, right? So provisioner shell. So this is in an image, and then we would use the same provisioner shell right here. So this is the same shell that we're already using, but then inline after we make, so we made the directory earlier, copied it in, then we would do this and install requirement. That's how I'm used to doing it. These other things, I mean, I guess we can do the other things too, but we'll grab this because that is going to be what's going to be added down here. Let's go verify that that part works. Right. So we've pushed up our requirements file. Let's copy this in, and then we're going to modify it for what we need. I mean, I prefer these to be a little more. That's fine. Now pip should already be there, and we don't need the. Wait a minute. Undo. Okay. $D just deletes the end of the line. All right. Let's see. Oh, we gotta fix the path. My bad. Yeah, well, you gotta do your requirement, which is an apps, right? Or app. Good. I was testing you guys, seeing if we were paying attention. There we go. No, failed. Temp packer shell. Sudo not found. Oh, we don't need sudo. Don't need sudo. You're already root. Yeah, you don't need sudo for that. My bad. That's what I get for using stuff I find on the internet. Apt-get not found. We don't need either of those. We have those. I know that this one will work because I don't need those other ones. Or we don't, technically you don't need those. You're just going to provision the requirements and then pop it up. There we go. We'll get a warning, but we don't care about the warning. Yeah. Boom. All right, build finished. So now Flask has been installed. All of those things are there. We need to capture that. So you can just do !cat and your last cat command is going to come back out. And there's our provisioner shell that we need to add to our notes over here. Because after we added the provisioner file for requirements, we can add provisioner shell for. That's fine. It's a HashiCorp language. HCL isn't exactly. It's somewhere between YAML guys and JSON, so it's not really. Strictly speaking, it's not completely stuck on either of the formats. It's just a different semi-structured language, if anybody cares. But I can say Packer format, and it'll clean any of that up. Do I not? What? I thought. Oh, FMT. Sorry, FMT. It'll format that, and it'll modify that file if there's anything. Like if any of my spaces are weird, it'll fix it for me, and it'll show me exactly how it should look. So like this is now properly in line. And Docker format is like, or Packer format is like the cheapest linter around in that it'll tell you where something, like if I left an open brace somewhere, an open curly brace or something, it would let me know. So it's the cheapest, but it's pretty okay. So my Flask on all that is done. And my last thing, I have one other last thing that I need to do for this to run. For me to run this and make this work, I need to make sure that those lines, we were talking about this a second ago. Where did it go? We need to make sure that defaults to bin sh only when entry point is there. The image works as expected. So let's go Packer set entry point. Let's see where this is. So they're saying it can be commit. We're going to try this because this is the way I'm used to seeing this. Image. We're going to try that because that's what I'm used to seeing. So here's our, VI Packer. And in Docker image, so source Docker Flask, right? As we paste, there's commit. Says true, but this way, let's see. Entry point is going to be /app. And command is going to be view.py. And if we had a specific port, we would also use it, but we're not going to worry about that for now because that port will get picked when this is done. That'll let me know if there's any major problems with the format. Whoops. Oh, pack format. Commit equals. I also need, hold on. Where's this? This says commit needs to equal true. Don't need that anymore. We got that working. Ah, that's more of what we need. So we're going to modify this a little bit here. And we're going to say commit is still equal to true. And then we need down in here, god damn it. We're going to modify this to be exactly what they want right there. Entry point is going to be app. Oh, apparently maybe we can just get entry point and I mean, I guess we can expose if we really care. 6,000, because that's going to be the default. That's fine. We're not going to change any of those other things for now. All right, let's see if it works. Packer format's got a problem. I didn't close something. There we go. Commit equals true. What have I broken here? Oh, comma. We'll find it eventually, guys. What? Oh, god damn it. You guys. I'm just, I'm doing this to test you. And we're all failing. There we go. Alright, it worked. So now let's build it. Backer build. Oh my god, changes. I made all those mistakes for the benefit of everybody here. I'm just kidding. All right, boom. So if that works, we should, when that's all done building, we should be able to say, well, let's let that build, let that push, do all that stuff. I'll get that message. That's fine. So now I should be able to say Docker images. And there's my Packer Flask, the one that we just built. And I should be able to say Docker run -d -p 6000 6000. And we could do a different one if we were just for this lab to make sure it was a different external port, let's say. Right, Packer Flask. Did I not spell that right? What am I missing here? Step 1. Where's my notes at? I spelled something wrong? That's a weird one. How's it going, Sending? We're building a lab out. I've been working on this lab for a few hours, but my that's weird. I definitely see that sitting there. There's my shouldn't be resource denied. Packer flask. You know what? Just for fun, we're gonna take that just for fun, we're gonna take that. We're gonna name it just pull it down. It's gonna build. Let's got the entry point. Oh, well, now we need the underscore. Huh. Doesn't matter. Hold on. Let's see. I haven't done this in a while, so I'm fine with looking stuff up. Where is my no? That's not how I want to do that. Oh, that's what it is. I'm dumb. That's stupid. I'm being dumb. So now we're gonna rerun that. So I was being dumb. We're gonna run it with 6001 packer flask. It is not running. So I think I need to undo, because the original, hold on, when it's originally coming down, Python 3.9 Alpine, that's how you would normally, I think I have that wrong. We're going to change the tag here to also include, just for now. That's unrelated to what we're doing though, but now it'll be at least in there as latest. So why is it failing? Docker image, so there's the latest tag. So now we can just run it as we want here, if we wanted, or with the specific version. Oh, now I got his underscore. Doesn't really matter. But it's failing because I think my entry point is wrong. View.py. Pushing that in, we're installing all the requirements, and then let's go look at our example where we're stealing our stuff from. Oh, Python app ViewPy. Let's change this back to what it originally was, by the way, which is the dashes. I prefer the dashes. That's my preference. Other people can do whatever they like. Prefer dashes. I was told one time that admins prefer dashes because it doesn't require you to hit shift. And I never really thought about that, but I mean, that probably is true. Although in file systems, I do prefer underscores, but it's probably because I'm lazy. Let's go Packer Flask, and we'll go 6,000 because we didn't do the other one. But for this one, we'll do 6,001. Now it's running. 6100, 6001, because we can't affect the other one, and then now this is breaking all over the place because our Python can't find. Oh, it's not finding the index. Okay. Template not found index.html. Is that not in the... Well, let's go see. App.view.py. App. I wonder if... Oh, you know what? Hold on. I think I can set the path right here. I think I can just bypass this whole problem with this. Where was that? Who even knows anymore? Ah, here. Working directory. Yeah, working dir. We're just going to set the working dir to app so that it finds it. That's the easiest way to do this. Yeah, I'm just messing around anyways. You're not missing anything, Head Knight. Build this guy. Let's also... Docker Was it Docker destroy? I don't know. Docker stop? I don't know. I don't remember. Yeah, Docker stop. Just stop him for now because he's not. Paste. Boom. Okay. Let's build him again. Packer. Bang Packer. Packer build. It'll build hopefully with no errors. Right? Boom. Tell our system to go and do all these things, and then, yep. They'll get a warning because we're building that. That's fine. And then Docker run, and then curl. Still can't find index.html. Because what is that file looking for? View.py. App route is out of slash. I shouldn't have to do. I mean, I guess just to test. Really? Okay. I guess just to test, we could try this. Bang VI. I mean, that seems. I don't think that would have to go. I don't know. I mean, I guess. Give it a try. Feels a little dirty. Just drop it down in root just to do it. But screw it. Just for now. Where is it trying to... Still can't find the index.html. Huh. Alright, I might have to dig in on why this is not. Working dir is still app. Let's change this up a little bit. Entry point is we'll leave the entry point as the app. Right, that's what I'm kind of used to doing. And then the command, gonna modify this a little bit. The command Python build. I mean, I guess. Nope, can't. Shift G. Switch this back to app. So get rid of that. Paste it. Docker build. Okay. Those errors are always there. Docker run. Docker bankroll. Oh, so now he's not even starting right. We need to compare this with, yeah, what's in here. Entry point is just Python. And the command is just ViewPy. Making it as close as we can to the original. There we go. Build it. Sending, you doing all right? You got the, I hope it's not raining up there. It's definitely raining here in Phoenix right now. It's a pretty cool day, almost cold outside for us, 60. Oh, I hear the wife coming. The wife is bringing people upstairs. Python 3.9, okay. I could drop the expose because we don't strictly do that in the install works. Entry point is still Python. Command is, I guess we could be explicit about the command being app view Python, and then run it. We're not getting any errors on the build, so the build's working. It's pushing everything over to a place it thinks it's going. It's not even starting there. So we had it starting for a while there, but it wasn't finding the index. Now we're unable to get it to start. So a couple things I want to do before this environment dies, because the environment is going to die on us here in a second. I want to grab out any major things that we've added, which were mainly up here in the source. Commit true changes. But then we got to get these changes worked out. Why is it not seeing? Why is it not running? When everything else is right. Yeah, environment's gonna die in 4 minutes. All right. Gonna have to chew on that one for a little while. And then our last part of the lab, once we get that working, right, we'll just get that going. And then the last part of our lab will be to, we'll move this in for step 2. We'll move all this stuff from our notes in there, right? We'll get our thing built. And then we will, the last part will just be to trigger that automatically as we either update our file or whatever. We'll just have it automatically. We'll have it right up to Kafka, and then we'll just have something listening to Kafka, and that will be the event that drives the thing. That part, I almost want to say that part's easier for me because I do that more than this. This stuff I haven't messed with Packer in a while, but that's interesting. Packer's setting these things to something. I might have to go change that entry point. That's interesting. But I feel like I'm overriding that, I think, with my environment. My entry point should... Yeah, so I should be able to do the same type of exec that I would do. Yeah, I should be able to call either of those. Okay. Yeah, I just got to figure out how they want that syntax, because like the container image is building. I just can't get it to run yet because I'm not looking at the right here. I'm not pointing that at the right. I mean, those are all the same things. I just don't know. I don't know exactly how they're looking at them. So yeah, we'll get that going, and then we'll have that part done. For anybody that's wondering, we've got Discord out there. You guys can go play in. Hang out, talk shop. Also, did my... I think my things broke. Hold on. There we go. Should be mostly back. There we are. We are back. Yeah, so the environment's dead. So you lose everything in the environment if you didn't capture it out. So we did, though, so we should be good. I think we got all the base things that we need. We might do this in slightly different order here. We might move some of this stuff up and then just do it all in one build and then just look at all the pieces. That could be another way that we do it. That'll be good. But man, yeah, that's review.py. My requirements is going in the right place, and then that's being read out because it's installing the requirements. So I know that's working. So these parts are working. It's copying these, but then my view.py is not seeing my app index.html, even when I was calling it correctly earlier. I don't think we should need any of that crap. I also don't think we necessarily need the expose because it's going to expose port 6000 on its own. So that's actually what the application does, is expose port 6000. Who knows? All right. Anybody else got anything interesting going on? I'm just Mostly hanging out. I'm actually hanging out upstairs because the wife's downstairs. They're doing something with candles or something. I don't want to. I don't want to be down there while they're making. I think they're making candles. Her and the girls from her. She's in a book club, so I don't know what made them want to do candles, but that's what they're doing. Yeah. Let's check what's going on down in the Discord. Anything good going on down there? Got discussions. Sending. I don't know if you're still around, but I posted this earlier. We had my next door neighbor got hit with the toilet paper. He's got a big old tree in his front yard. That got hit with toilet paper, but they made the mistake of doing it in the rain, so this is mostly all rinsed out of his tree already. And they also made the mistake of mainly getting most of it on the ground, if you ask me. Doesn't really seem like they did a very good job of getting it up in the tree like you would think. But they didn't hit my house that I could tell, so that's good. Oh well. So we're here. Move this back up. We can give that like a command line if we wanted, like a command. That might be a better way to do it. Just give it in one line so it just all goes in at once. Yeah, that might be better. All right. If you guys can't tell, I'm just mostly being lazy here. I don't really want to do anything. By the way, guys, we do always have a bunch of events coming up. So, looks like some people are maybe doing the study group. This might be on hold because of the holidays and the fact that we didn't really meet yesterday. But they might be meeting to catch up. So that's going on. There's also the writer's room. These are the guys that help build the books. So if you're interested in like building a book and committing to a repo that honestly, it's got a fair amount of work in it. And I think it would look pretty good on a resume. People are working on that. And that's something people do for meeting other people. Then there's a bash study group, and then we've got our normal 16-week automation course and the 10-week security engineering course. This is on week 9 next week, so this is almost done. The 16-week course has taken a little longer because we've had a few breaks in there and stuff, but we're about halfway through this one. So anybody that wants to do that could still catch up. You just have a lot of labs and a lot of work to do. So and late night bash study. We don't always do this every Saturday, but I have it set up in case people want to go to it. So one of these days I'll start that one up. All right. Also gonna say run build this and those tags aren't right. Those tags are also this. So I didn't get that in there. And then packet build. run dash D. All right, that's what the test will look like when we're done with it. As soon as we have those done, then we can just trigger them. Maybe we'll add some variable in, so when you read whatever the event is, you'll trigger that name to the image. That might be kind of good. Yeah, that'd be good. Good test, good practice. All right. Yeah, I need to. Yeah, I'm over here yawning. All right. Maybe we'll just call it. I'll get some more of this stuff written up. But these notes, I mean, you don't really need these notes, but the notes are in the Discord or in the they're in the Killer Coda lab. But when I get this lab done, all this will be up in there, obviously, for people that want it, like how we built this and all that stuff is there. So, all right, well, I'll probably call it here then. I definitely appreciate everybody coming by. You know, we're just hanging out, working on stuff. I will be very busy this week doing dissertation stuff, and probably even later on tonight I'll be working on that. So